felon is also believing what they want to believe. There is no direct evidence yet that he actually took money or services, but he might have. That's what the House impeachment inquiry is all about. Now, as a Christian, I'm not supposed to root for personal destruction, but I am compelled to seek justice. So that's where I am. Back after this. If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, listen up. Car Shield is a low-cost monthly vehicle protection plan now available to you. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Please call 800-925-7584 for a free quote. Drivers who activate today will also receive free roadside assistance and towing at no additional cost. That is 800-925-7584 right now. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
We've been talking about it for days, but the much advertised warm-up really kicks in today. Mostly sunny for your Friday. Temperatures soar more than 10 degrees above normal for this time of year. Up to 88. A little humid, too. Tonight, clear, dry, down to 68. Saturday, a run for the record. I'm forecasting a high of 91. The record in St. Louis is 93. Not much change Sunday, up to 88. Autumn air potentially arriving late next week. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
When it's important to you,
stay informed.
It's on News Talk STL.
India and the United States of America co-chair this initiative
to maximize the impact of our investments.
In Congress, they have spent all year investigating the president.
I mean, we are holding Iran to account.
News, analysis, and opinion.
The line isn't for us to go bankrupt. The line is somewhere in the middle, and the only way to resolve that is to actually negotiate.
101.9 and 94.1.
Gotta know what's happening.
News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
The impeachment inquiry of Joe Biden, or into Joe Biden's affairs, is now officially underway. They had the first hearing on Thursday. So where do we go from here, and how does it look like it's shaping up this early in the whole process? Well, we've got updates for you here in just a little bit. Hey, good morning. Mike Ferguson here. Happy Friday. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of your day. We're going to visit with our good friend Paul Kurtman and kind of review the week's news here in just a few minutes, right around 6:05, a little bit later on. Hey, for you Newsmax TV fans, I know there's a lot of you. They do a great job. Carl Higbee, he's on Monday through Friday. He's going to be with us in the 8 o'clock hour. And, you know, we're going to start talking about the impeachment inquiry, also the status of the UAW strike. Is the government actually going to shut down? So much to cover with Carl here a little bit later on today. Very special event happening right here in the St. Louis area, happening in St. Charles on Saturday. And that is a celebration of all of the lives saved with the work that Thrive STL is doing. And you can be a part of it. Matter of fact, just because you are part of the News Talk STL family, you can get a complimentary ticket to that event. We're going to tell you how. We talked to Bridget Van Means from Thrive on Thursday's show about what's happening tomorrow and about all of the great success that they've been having for decades. Here's what she had to say. This is really special.
When we talk about the fight for life, we talk about trying to save lives in the abortion and life debate. A lot of times we focus, and we have to, we don't have a choice, on all the work that needs to be done. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of work when it comes to saving lives, because there's a lot of work when it comes to providing for women who are in a difficult situation. There's a lot of work to counter cultural narratives. There's a lot of work in countering media narratives. And frankly, there is a public policy and politics debate. But when you talk about the work, it's a heart-to-heart thing. And so while we often say this is tiring work, this is hard work, this is work that's probably never going to end because we have so much in our culture to overcome, it's important every once in a while to say, but we can look back and celebrate what has been done and what is being done, because lives are being saved right now. And look at where we are. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Mm-hmm. And one of the most effective organizations doing that is Thrive, right here in St. Louis. Hey, Mike Ferguson here, Gabe's here, Stell's here. It is 8:09, joined now by Bridget Van Means from Thrive. And Bridget, I'm not going to say you're throwing a big party coming up here, but when it comes to celebrating and looking back at the work that's being done, I think that's actually really important. So when Lori mentioned to me, hey, we've got this 40-year dinner coming up, I thought that is a great idea. So what's happening here coming up?
Hey, Mike and fam. Actually, I'll give you permission. You can say, we're throwing a big
That's right.
So Thrive, in its beginnings, started in 1983, and the mission has always been, politics are important, and I'm kind of a politics junkie. And I really love our country. I'm an exceptionalist, and our organization really has a strong patriotic DNA, and we're very active politically, and we understand the difference between a completely fatally flawed president and one who's effective, and so on and so forth. So that's all important to us in our personal lives, but we've given our professional lives over to stepping away from the debate and doing what we all know is right, and that is coming alongside women who are experiencing what they perceive as a very crisis pregnancy. And usually these women are just, wonderful, everyday gals living their lives. And they get pregnant, and they really see that pregnancy as a threat to their future, right? So they may see it as a financial threat. It seems like it's going to be a threat to their career. And they really feel frightened and they feel stressed out. So there's no point, and it's not right to judge these women. What is right is to come alongside them and make sure that they have all of the resources that they need and all of the emotional and spiritual support they need to make a decision that isn't fear-based, because what I just described to you, at the root of that is fear. So we want to do everything we can to address what they're afraid of. This pregnant support, the women are individual children of God, and with that comes autonomy, and with that comes free will. And judging the women and controlling the women and pushing the women is not the right thing to do. So it's really a good Samaritan model, Mike. We come alongside her. We provide free health care, women's health care. There's all this talk about access to health care, and their health care is free. And they're in a very safe, actually very beautiful environment. Would love to have you come to visit one of our centers. They're world class. They have a really sharp aesthetic, because that's important to young people now. They come into this beautiful center. They get free services. And then really any financial concern they have is resolved by people like your listeners, who support the woman, and they basically step up and say, I'm going to be the surrogate family for this woman, and I will support them. And that literally means, Mike, with every diaper you'll need, your formula, your car seats, a baby shower, and then, of course, ongoing classes and training and support. So it really is, it is a radically bold and generous process that works so effectively. 8 or 9 out of 10 of the women, once they go through their first 1 or 2 visits, really start feeling courageous, who chose life for me under difficult circumstances. We see these women do that every day. It's so positive, and no matter where anyone is on the spectrum in terms of their values and beliefs, they can support what we're doing. So we're going to celebrate that on Saturday.
Good morning, Bridget. Gabe Pfeiffer here. We've been supporting Thrive personally for a while now, and my wife and I are actually going to be at the dinner.
I was going to say, hey, what are you and Janet doing on Saturday, Gabe?
We're going to that dinner, and Janet's going to wear a gown she's been planning on wearing forever. So we were there celebrating with you guys too the same year, when Roe v. Wade was overturned.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering how the work has changed in the post-Roe world.
Well, isn't that amazing? Because Missouri, and I know you have listeners outside of Missouri, but in Missouri, we had already been doing this work, and even our lawmakers have a very pro-woman take on this. So, the laws that they've been going after for years now has really also been about supporting the woman. So Missouri is an actual kind of a test case and a beta test for, what would it look like if everybody just put the focus on helping this woman through a difficult time. So post-Roe wasn't a whole lot different than pre-Roe, because remember, guys, on October 21st, 2019, Missouri had its first abortion-free day, and that was all done without the laws pushing it. That had to do with so many women were choosing life here in Missouri. The numbers of abortions that the local abortion clinics were able to perform had plummeted, and they decided to pack up shop and head across the bridge into Illinois, where it would be easier for them to do. So that's what's so cool, is the work that you're supporting, the work that your listeners and I are putting our hearts and souls into. It just keeps clicking along regardless of what happens with the laws. Now, we do know that there will always be a natural drop in abortion when the laws change. So we very much think that that's amazing, and we are seeing that in other states across the nation, that there's a natural dip, because laws are supposed to teach, right? So laws teach young women, maybe there's more to this decision than we thought. If the whole Supreme Court is saying we don't necessarily have a right to it. So it gives pause, and we want that. So we want the laws to be moving along in alignment with the Constitution, and for me as a Christian, in alignment with Christian values. But that's the cool thing. We're busy. We're still helping women, and your support is needed now more than ever as we are taking our model national, right? We're the best in the country at what we do, and that's not just, me saying it, but rather by data-driven, and now we're going to be taking this opportunity into all of the other states. So we're so excited to have you with us Saturday. And your listeners should know, this is, we do bring in some of the premier, catalyst, game changer, legend speakers this year. It's David B. Wright, but as you know, it's kind of Hamilton meet Cirque du Soleil, meet Sight and Sound Theater if you've been to Branson. So it's very multimedia and so much talent on the stage, and then some really powerful moments of speeches and things like that. But it's really an electric event. Is that how you experienced it last year?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was wonderful.
Yeah, so we've got tickets for your listeners set aside, thrivealivestl.org. And then when you register, if your listeners just put News Talk next to their name, we will get them a complimentary ticket and make sure they've got some good seats on Saturday. It's at the St. Charles Convention Center. There'll be over 1,000 people there, and it's filled with electricity. It kind of feels like the Oscars or something like that. Well, the Oscars 20 years ago.
Hey, good morning, Bridget. Stal Ponticus here. You kind of touched a little bit on the differences now with pro-life kind of changing lanes into a state-by-state issue. Could you discuss a little bit about the difference that you have to deal with between Missouri and Illinois, speaking of state-by-state?
Yeah, well, it's a marked difference. In fact, in Illinois, it's really shocking because I keep reminding myself, okay, this is the state of Lincoln, this is the state of Lincoln, but then I also remember, it's the state of Obama.
Yeah.
But it is the state of Lincoln, and Illinois actually was one of the primary states for the Underground Railroad, freeing the slaves. So we have a lot of hope for Illinois, but right now they have a diabolical governor. Don't you love how I really hold my punches? We have a
Tell us what you really think.
Governor. He passes some of the most aggressive pro-abort laws that no sane person, even a pro-choice person, would support. He supports these laws. And actually pregnancy centers in Illinois, which I know you're hinting at, are actually being weaponized against. So right now there are a couple of battles going on in Illinois that literally are trying to stop the work of pregnancy centers. Can you imagine trying to stop the work of simply helping women make a choice they can live with and helping women feel supported when they're afraid? No profit nonprofits. These pregnancy centers always run as a nonprofit that's providing free services and baby supplies and diapers and prayer, and they're wonderful, healthy, robust women's healthcare entities. And right now, Illinois is completely weaponizing against them. So, we're testifying in trials, and it's quite a battle. So the difference between Missouri and Illinois right now is night and day. And we are praying and believing that there can be someday a shift in Illinois and that it would get back to its roots. Illinois actually was the first anti-abortion state way back in the 1800s. So we really believe that they can turn, but it's a rough place to live, and we know we have a lot of people leaving there to come here.
And one of the things I love is that you are able to take even small donations and turn them into big impacts in people's lives. And, of course, that's one of the things you're celebrating this weekend here. So, Bridget, let's give out that website again and that code again so that people can get involved. Because there are still some seats available is what I'm hearing you say.
Yep, we always save a few tables out towards the end of the week to grab special people like you. We just had a really cool group step forward, and it was like, yes, we still have a table for you. So they're going to go to thrivealivestl.org, thrivealivestl.org. There'll be just an easy registration there. Go ahead and put News Talk next to your name. We'll make sure that you get your tickets and that you have a good seat. And yeah, it's so cool. People will give everything from pledging to give $33 a month or $33 one time, and then we'll have some very exciting donations for people who can do it, and we'll have some people that are giving $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. We've had $1 million donations, and every single one of them matters, whether it's the widow's mite or the billionaire's gift. So come and have a great time with us, and once someone comes once, they always come back. So we're excited to have you. thrivealivestl.org.
The news roundup comes your way here in about 2.5 minutes. And don't forget, if you register to go to tomorrow's event, put News Talk STL next to your name, and you're going to get that complimentary ticket. All right, we'll be back with that news roundup just ahead. Right now, information segment on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Listen anytime.
It happens
anywhere. Everywhere.
Every day continues to bring more news
with the News Talk STL app. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
We're here with our great friends, Kathy and Rob Connor from Connor Roofing. One thing I love about your company, Kathy, is customer service.
We pride ourselves on making sure our customers are happy, and you can check out our Google reviews. We're very proud of that as well. And if you're not happy, we will do what it takes to fix the problem.
Well, that's just it. You set expectations, and we like to really educate our customers, and it gets done the way we said we were going to do it.
Call Connor Roofing, 314-375-7475 or connorroofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
It's your last chance to cut a deal at Seidenstricker Nobe Partners. Save up to $5,000 on select John Deere compact tractor packages with our exclusive 10-year warranty. And we're offering 0% financing for 60 months with zero down. Get your John Deere equipment by shopping online or visiting us at any of our 28 locations. Let's cut a deal now before it's too late. snpartners.com.
Offer valid through 9/30/2023. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
What if the music stopped? If the familiar voices were silenced? If there were no breaking news updates? What if your companion and connection to your community came with a monthly fee? Don't worry, we're free local radio with you wherever you go, celebrating 100 years and looking forward to the next 100. We are broadcasters. Text radio to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on your local TV and radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
For $1 a day, if any covered appliance breaks in your home, we guarantee to fix or replace it. All makes and models, washers, dryers, refrigerators, air conditioners, and more. Guaranteed to be fixed or replaced for $1 a day. Call the Home Service Club now for free information.
800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. That's 800-399-3701.
Staff Sergeant Mark Anthony Madrid.
Staff Sergeant Samantha Cowell.
I'm Staff Sergeant Alex
Staff Sergeant William Lewis, and I am proud to defend my family and our nation.
The Air Force Reserve is part of the story of this great nation.
I'm grateful that I have a chance to wear the uniform of the heroes that went before me.
I am proud to be part of a team that helps make a difference in the world.
Every day, men and women from communities across this nation serve as reserve citizen airmen. Even as technology evolves and changes, our commitment to defend and protect this nation remains steadfast. We celebrate those who have served and those who are proudly serving. We celebrate our proud history and look towards an exciting and uniting future. Our mission is to fly, fight, and win in air, space, and cyberspace.
And I am proud to be a member.
And I'm proud to serve in the United States.
And I am proud to protect our country.
Proud to serve in the U.S. Air Force Reserve.
This news update brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com.
Hi, this is Mark McCloskey. Check out my show, Mark McCloskey on Fire, Sunday afternoon at 5 here on News Talk STL. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, the impeachment of Joe Biden is one step closer to reality now that the impeachment inquiry process is underway. I've got an update for you on that. The St. Louis County Council is going to take another look at a proposal to freeze some taxes for seniors. Take another swing at this, Stel.
Okay, I'm ready.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Do you know what they should do? They should just try to convince all the Democrats on the county council that secretly Boeing lives in all those houses. Then maybe they'll want to give them a tax break.
That might work.
Yeah, let's try that. And the Cardinals wrap up their season this weekend. Okay, so a lot going on here. House Republicans, they are leading the charge on the impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden. And, of course, this is dealing with the corruption that he's accused of regarding his tenure as vice president and even now as president. And so following the first hearing on that matter, on the impeachment inquiry, and I keep emphasizing inquiry because this is different than the articles of impeachment, as we all know, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer was on Hannity last night on Fox talking about the evidence that they say they've got with the Biden family wiring millions of dollars through shell companies, and that, as a result, dealt with influence peddling schemes while Joe Biden was vice president.
They used these shell companies to receive the wires from the foreign nationals. And then, according to the banks, in the 170 different suspicious activity reports, those were the bank violations, they then took those wires through the shell companies and laundered them down to the Biden family, to 9 different Biden family members in incremental payments.
So the Democrats' answer so far has basically been, you can't prove anything. And the White House's answer has been, nope, don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Democrats are saying, nothing to see here. Move along.
Pretty much, yeah. All right, speaking of Democrats, I got a soundbite here from a Democrat regarding the government shutdown. So as of right now, we're heading into the weekend with a government that's operating. When we go into the week next week, that may not be the case. All right, so Congressman Dean Phillips, he is a Democrat from Minnesota. He was on special report on Fox. Well, he and Republican Michael McCall sat in together for the interview. So after being asked about the government shutdown that's probably most likely happening, Congressman Phillips said he's worried about, specific parts of the government shutting down, including, for instance, the Small Business Administration and the loans that they process and all that sort of thing.
Hundreds of thousands of women and children who rely on support for food, our military not being paid. I believe Chairman McCall and I see this the same way. It's not in the best interest of the country. It's a failure, by the way, of both Democratic and Republican House leadership over generations that have created the circumstance in which we find ourselves.
I don't really know anything about Congressman Dean Phillips, but I do appreciate that he said, yeah, this is Republican and Democrat, and it's over many, many years that they've gotten to the point where they just can't basically do anything functionally when it comes to a budget. Okay, here's an update to a story I told you about yesterday. St. Peter's Board of Aldermen unanimously passed that ban on panhandling and soliciting in traffic. They took care of that. It was 7-0, man. They're not messing around there still. So basically, you're not allowed to ask for money or anything else. You're not allowed to approach vehicles in the roadway in St. Peter's. Vote was taken at last night's meeting. It goes into effect immediately as soon as the mayor signs it.
You know, I kind of wonder, because it's specifically St. Peter's, will other municipalities in the area get on board here and decide, hey, if they can do that out in St. Peter's, maybe we should do it here individually and not wait for St. Charles County or St. Louis County to do an all-encompassing type of thing, but we'll do it in our own city.
Yeah, I think there's a few that have done it, and I think you're right. I think there will be some more that say, okay, now that they've taken the first slice of the pizza, now we'll go ahead and get in there as well. All right, Battlehawks could have more teams to compete against next season. This is interesting. The XFL and the USFL announced that they're merging in 2024.
Boy, I saw a lot of stuff flying around yesterday from fans who were concerned what might happen to the Battlehawks.
Right, yeah. Now, the XFL's already announced that Battlehawks are staying here in St. Louis next year, but the XFL does things completely differently than the USFL. So it'll be interesting to see what they do as far as the rules, and the USFL basically has hubs for teams to play in, so it's going to be really interesting to see how that works out. All right, the Cardinals lost their final road game of the season, which means they lost the final road series of the season as well. Final score in Milwaukee was 3-0. Final series of the season starts tonight at Busch Stadium. Reds are in town for a 3-game set. First pitch tonight at 7:15. It's over after this weekend.
We get a chance to celebrate Adam Wainwright this weekend, so that'll be good.
Yes, and I actually have a soundbite from Adam Wainwright here that will play in less than 30 minutes. All right. Today is National Coffee Day.
Yay!
So you know. Yes. That's actually how I greeted Stella when he came out, like, Happy National Coffee Day. So Krispy Kreme, Dunkin', Flying J, several other chains, they've got various offers of free or buy something and get a free cup of coffee. Probably others out there too, so let me know if you want. Quick fun fact here. 63% of Americans drink coffee every day. I don't know what's wrong with the other 37%.
I got mine, extra cream, extra sugar, sitting right here.
I got mine here as well. So hey, if you know where there are some really good freebies for coffee or good deals on it, hey, let me know. I'm going to be looking at the Rumble chat box, or just let me know where it's at, because I'll do it. I'll go follow. I'll drive around and get coffee.
Yes.
What happens next?
Which one of you on stage tonight should be voted off the island?
I think that's disrespectful to my fellow competitors.
Nobody wants to.
Happens right here.
Donald Trump is missing in action. He should be on this stage. Donald Trump won't show up here to answer questions. Never, ever doubt who we are. Part of how we win elections is reaching the next generation.
We can't trust you.
St. Louis's place to talk.
We are the greatest country on God's green earth.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Oh, Hank, what a wonderful spider web you have built for us. I love this fabulous space we have right here in the corner of the kitchen.
Thanks, Charlotte. I think I'll build us a vacation web in the coat closet. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Human trafficking is occurring right here in Missouri. You can help combat it by learning the signs of human trafficking and reporting suspicious activity to law enforcement. Victims may appear malnourished, show signs of mental or physical abuse, or avoid social interaction. If you're a victim or know someone who needs help, contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888 or text the word HELP to Be Free. Together, we can fight human trafficking in Missouri.
Brought to you by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
This is Julia Gordon-Bramer, your host of Mystic Fix. I'm a professional tarot card reader, author, and scholar of mysticism. Mystic Fix offers playful, practical advice and spiritual tools for modern living. It's a program for the whole being and journeying the lesser-traveled paths. Each show features guests and authors in lively conversation, ranging from crystals to Kabbalah, yoga to Yetis, and of course, tarot card reading.
Mystic Fix, Saturday nights at 8 on News Talk STL.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
This hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. The Biden impeachment inquiry is underway with the opening hearing on Capitol Hill, but as far as the legacy media is concerned, it doesn't exist. Despite the lack of coverage, Republicans are moving ahead. They're now seeking the personal banking records of Hunter and James Biden. Kentucky GOP Congressman James Comer.
The House Oversight Committee, along with the committees on the Judiciary and Ways and Means, will continue to follow the money and the evidence to provide accountability so that Americans know their public offices are not for sale.
Democrats suggest it's Republican payback for the Trump impeachments. Speaking of the former president, he's in California, and so is White House correspondent Greg Clugston.
He may have skipped out on the second debate this week, but Trump is in Los Angeles to speak directly to Republican Party leaders and voters. He's the keynote at the state's GOP convention today. Interestingly, the state GOP has changed its rules, and any candidate who pulls in more than 50% of the primary vote will be awarded all 169 delegates. This winner-takes-all rule makes it possible for Trump to sweep the California delegates in March and move closer to clinching the Republican nomination. Greg Clugston, Los Angeles.
Elon Musk has visited the southern border. The billionaire entrepreneur placing himself smack in the middle of the illegal immigration debate. And since President Biden took office, millions of illegals, some of them on terrorist watch lists, have poured into the country. In the absence of any major progress in contract talks, the United Auto Workers Union set to expand its strike against Detroit's big three automakers. The UAW has set a noon deadline for movement in the contract talks, or else looks like more picket lines will be going up. On Wall Street, the Dow futures up 166 points, NASDAQ futures 100 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-320-7171. That's 800-320-7171. 800-320-7171.
Inflation is...
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
We've been talking about it for days, but the much-advertised warm-up really kicks in today. Mostly sunny for your Friday. Temperatures soar more than 10 degrees above normal for this time of year, up to 88. A little humid, too. Tonight, clear, dry, down to 68. Saturday, a run for the record. I'm forecasting a high of 91. The record in St. Louis is 93. Not much change Sunday, up to 88. Autumn air potentially arriving late next week. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. That's 800-432-8150.
The news and talk that affects St. Louis.
The walls are closing in on Joe Biden right now. The dominoes have started to fall.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
The American people have a right to know.
Look at the alternative.
News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
This is the kind of adventure I usually have to force upon us, and here it is, falling into our laps.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
They're buying it.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
Why don't you pop a squat, son?
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin Bob.
It's Friday!
You know, there seems to be a common theme when it comes to us talking about government and stuff right now. You know, it's either not doing its basic jobs or it's doing way too much.
It'd be nice if we just had a happy medium somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about like government does its basic jobs and then leaves us the heck alone?
That would be nice.
That would be the ideal.
That's preferred, yes.
I would love to see a world where we are not arguing between, partisan Republican and partisan Democrat. We're arguing between conservative and libertarian.
Yes.
That's a there's no such thing as a perfect world, but that would be as close to a politically perfect world as if the argument is just how small we're going to make government.
That would require moving the Overton window way over.
That's right.
And I would like to start doing that today.
Oh man, it is 6:06. We can all dream. 6:06 right now. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here.
There ought to be a law.
My name's Mike Ferguson. Oh man. All right, News Talk STL, best weekend programming you're going to find anywhere, not just in St. Louis. I am convinced we've got the best weekend programming probably of any talk radio station in the country.
In the whole world?
I mean, seriously.
On the planet.
I know. I've worked in other places as well, and I've got friends all over the country, and you know what you get most of the time on weekend programs on News Talk stations?
Infomercials.
You get infomercials. That's what you get. You actually get real News Talk programming all weekend. For instance, The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter. Unique would be a word to describe Todd, I think. Unique, that's fair.
Unique? Yeah.
Wacky?
Saturday evenings from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. All right, former News Talk STL talk show host and, of course, former state representative Paul Kurtman joins us right now. All right, Paul, let me start. I want to get to the budget and the shutdown thing here in a minute, but the impeachment inquiry is now underway, and the Republicans are doing this far more methodically than the Democrats did when they went after Trump. But for instance, I think you know this guy, Congressman Jason Smith, was on Fox, was on Hannity last night, and here's what he had to say after the first round of the hearings.
We know that President Biden was aware of his son's business dealings, but these documents prove that he was connected to his son's business dealings through emails, through phone calls, through dinners at the White House, to foreign trips on Air Force Two.
Okay, so were you and Jason were in the legislature at the same time, right?
Yeah, we were. We served together. He was the majority whip, and I was his deputy whip.
Ah, got it. Okay. So when you look at the impeachment inquiry, what's interesting, and SRN News actually just had a national report on that in our last information segment, pointing out that there is very little media coverage of this. So we'll talk about the merits of the impeachment inquiry hearing. But I noticed that, too, that there isn't a lot. Now, there's a lot of other things going on as well, but there's really not a massive coverage of this the way that there has been on other steps towards impeachment, whether it was Trump, Clinton, or anybody else.
Yeah, well, I mean, this just kind of reinforces what Americans have been afraid to think, but have been more increasingly likely to say out loud over the last few years, and that is that the mainstream media is just in on it with the left. If you look at some of these tweets that were coming out from some of these Democrat congressmen, they're talking about how it was an evidence-less clown show. They're saying there's no merit for these impeachment inquiries at all. Well, the Republicans were saying that about Donald Trump for years, but it didn't stop the mainstream media from constantly repeating every single talking point that the left had. But now that the left wants them to remain silent on impeachment inquiry, they're more than happy to remain silent on this impeachment inquiry. And the thing is this is still rather historic. Very rarely in American government and American history have we had impeachment inquiries. So the fact that we have one at all is in and of itself newsworthy, at least to talk about. But certainly you're not going to be able to count on the mainstream media to talk about exactly what Kevin McCarthy, to talk about what Jason Smith was just talking about. They're just not going to do it because, well, I'll just say it just like everybody else has been saying it recently. The mainstream media is in on it with the left. You can't count on them to give the coverage to the things that need coverage.
Good morning, Paul. Gabe here. So one of the main arguments in favor of going through this whole impeachment thing is to get the media coverage to actually get some information out there about how corrupt this government is, because there's obviously there's no way we're going to remove him, but prior to the election, we need to get this information in front of voters. That was the original idea behind this thing. So what do you think it will take to actually break through all of the ramparts that the Democrat-led media is throwing up in our way?
Well, it's the same thing that the Republicans have always needed to do. They just need a much better communication strategy. You have the mainstream media, then you have the alternative media, you have the new media. And if the Republicans could get their act together, like we say this all the time, it seems like every time an issue comes up, we're like, well, if the Republicans could get their act together from one election cycle to the next, we're saying the same thing. But people like Jason Smith, they need to be on the circuit. They need to have these congressmen who are in the know on a schedule to be on every talk radio show on News Talk STL and on every other News Talk radio show across the whole country. They need to be getting in front of some of these conservative podcasters. They need to be getting in front of anybody that has a microphone that wants to hear what they have to say. Because there's people out there. Listen, I don't listen to CNN. I don't listen to a lot. I mean, I go to their websites. I'll see what it is they're saying, because I'm still a little bit of a news junkie, even though I'm not with you guys on the air as much as I used to be. But I just don't go to these mainstream media sites. But I do go to podcasts. I do go to the podcast and listen to News Talk STL from Pensacola, Florida, where I am right now. And so if these Republicans had their wits about them, that's what they would be targeting in order to get their message out. We don't need to rely on CNN. Their numbers are already in the toilet. We shouldn't be relying on them to get our message out. We need to be going to the people that have the microphones, that have them on, and are ready to put them in front of these Republicans who are ready to inform the American people exactly what's going on.
Hey, good morning, Paul. Stel Ponticus here. It looks like the border crisis is finally getting a little mainstream media exposure. Oh, about 2.5 years late, by the way. But do you think that exposure will intensify, or will the administration's pushback and denial take over again?
I think the pushback and denial eventually is going to continue to take over. At least we're going to see a lot more spin. But there's a lot of anomalies happening down on the border right now, and it's kind of these anomalies that are getting a lot of coverage. Just this morning, I was looking at an article that was talking about how 5 Border Patrol agents snipped through a wire to let some people pass. Mm-hmm. There's people that put out these types of headlines, and that is interesting. That will draw me into the article. But then I want to find out what's really going on. So there's some interest in the border. There's some spin going on in the media for sure. But I think that with this migrant situation, I mean, it is continuing to climb to heights and set new records day by day. And so I think that the news media is certainly going to cover it. They need to cover it a lot more for sure. But I think that in this next election cycle, I think that even President Joe Biden's going to have some things that he's going to have to answer for. And I don't think that the media is necessarily going to ignore this particular topic.
Yeah, I call the media's coverage of the southern border touch and go. They'll come in and they're like, when they can't ignore it anymore, they'll do it, and then they'll go on to other things. And so I call it touch and go is the media approach I've seen to that. All right, we're visiting with Paul Kurtman right now. All right, right now we have an operational government. I was going to say functioning federal government, but I think that's probably a stretch too far. But we have an operational federal government. Come the first of the month, come next early as we go into next week, that may not be the case. Paul, it looks like we're going to have a partial government shutdown. And I think that whatever deal they come up with, they're talking about a maximum of 6 weeks, and we just continue to operate a federal government like this.
Yeah, this would be I think this would be the 12th time. If the government shuts down, this would be the 12th time that the government shut down. The first government shutdown happened under the Ford administration, and the last time the government shut down was December 2018 to January 2019 when Donald Trump was in office. That was about a 35-day government shutdown. And so we've had 11 since Gerald Ford was the president. This is beginning to be the way that we operate, and this is a bad way of operating. I was recently talking with, doing a little bit of business counseling for somebody, and they were talking about the different back orders that they have, but they were talking about their back orders as though their back orders are just one of their products. Like they got way too comfortable with having back orders, that they hadn't gotten out to their customers. And that's how I feel about our government right now. We are just way too comfortable talking about government shutdowns and continuing resolutions. And I can't even remember the last time that we had a serious discussion on the budget. So I think that we're probably going to have a government shutdown. I think the Democrats would like to see the government shutdown because all of this originates in the House of Representatives. So if we can have a government shutdown while they're trying to impeach Joe Biden, the left is going to be using that as we push into the 2024 election cycle. So don't expect a lot of help from the Democrats in terms of keeping the government funded. They would like to see the Republicans take a failure here. That way they can use it as a talking point to get Biden reelected or whoever it is they're planning on running in 2024.
Paul, since you're in the Sunshine State, any thoughts from you regarding Ron DeSantis and his performance at the debate?
I think he's doing better. Here's what I think Ron DeSantis needs to do. I think he needs to just shake off the consultants. I can tell when a politician has too many consultants around him.
Yeah.
I can tell. When you know somebody and you've seen them in action, you've seen them as an operator, and then all of a sudden the camera's in front of them and everything changes about them, it's because somebody's in their ear. When what is going viral is a video where Ron DeSantis awkwardly fakes a smile, that's because somebody has been telling him, you need to smile more. And he's thinking about that instead of actual interactions where he finds joy and happiness and the smiles become less genuine. He needs to get rid of the consultants, and he needs to be real. People like Ron DeSantis in 2020 and 2021 because he was a soldier, and that's what we want to see. I don't care if Ron DeSantis smiles. I want to see the soldier back. That's what we want to see back.
Absolutely, yes. All right, Paul, we've already tagged you on our social media, website, social media. People want to still follow what you're doing because you got a big following here in St. Louis still.
Yeah, if you want to follow me on social media, they can follow me at paulkurtman.com. If they want to find me in the financial work that I'm doing, because the markets are up and down a lot still, even recently, they can go to prkurtman.com.
All right, good chat with you again, my friend.
All right, thanks, guys. Have
Thanks,
a good day.
Paul.
All right, still ahead here, St. Louis County Council may take another swing at helping seniors with their property tax bill.
Oh, we're another bite of the apple,
They're going to try. We'll see how that goes. I'll give you the update on that. And this is it for Wayno. He's got a concert planned for St. Louis this weekend.
A concert?
He's not going to pitch, but he's going to sing.
Oh, wow.
A concert at Busch.
That's right.
Wow.
I will tell you about that.
That's cool.
He's going to do what Guns N' Roses could not. I'll tell you all about it. It's 6:20 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Do you live in West St. Louis County? Then you can get West News Magazine delivered free to your home just by asking for it. West News Magazine is the only print source for the political, school, business, and sports news happening in your hometown. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe or pick up a free copy at all area Deerbergs and Schnuck stores. West News Magazine. Anybody who wants it gets it. Anybody who gets it wants it. Subscribe for free today. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
I'm Susie Moore, and this is More to the Point.
So, impeachment inquiry hearing number 1 was held on Thursday, and it was a doozy. With all the fur that flew, I'm surprised our Congress critters weren't hacking up fur balls. Well, some of them sort of were. The stated purpose of Thursday's hearing was to set forth the basis for proceeding with the inquiry. That didn't stop the Dems, of course, from conflating the investigation with the trial and squawking endlessly about there being no evidence of wrongdoing on the part of Joe Biden, and howling about Republicans doing exactly what they did less than 4 years ago. There were plenty of lowlights, but the one that stood out the most to me was when Dan Goldman, who fancies himself quite the legal wizard, pondered, if there were 9 Biden family members who got money from these business transactions, isn't it striking that Joe Biden was not one of them? Why, yes, Matlock, it's striking indeed. Everyone around Joe Biden, including his grandchildren, was getting money from foreign nationals, but Joe himself was singularly isolated from this lucrative enterprise. You don't suppose it's because they realized that forwarding millions of dollars directly to Joe might tip even the most casual observer off to the fact that the big guy was on the take, do you? Not our best, not our brightest.
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter at SmoozyQ and keep listening to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, this is Kira Davis, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love.
All right, taking another swing and making life easier for seniors in St. Louis County. Maybe the government can worry about their tax bill the way they worry about Boeing's.
That'd be nice.
Don't count on it, though. Jeez. All right, News Talk STL's newsletter. If you haven't gotten our weekly newsletter, you should be doing it. Just go to newstalkstl.com to sign up for that. It is free. Quick, easy, fun read, all kinds of different stuff on that every week. By the way, also News Talk STL, we would love for you to make us your kind of like when you open up your browser, just make News Talk STL your homepage. Check out there. We got news and all sorts of content that's updated daily on there. So check out that website. Okay, so St. Louis County Council, the Republicans on the council are trying to bring back the property tax freeze idea.
Yes.
That's already been voted down once.
Well, let's try it again.
So
this time with feeling.
They're trying to they're negotiating and they're trying to get some compromises in. For instance, Dennis Hancock said that he would be willing to accept a compromise that says, okay, if your home is valued up to a certain amount,
okay,
then
so
you can
capping
qualify.
Capping it.
So capping it. And seniors could only use this for the primary residence, which is what the law says in the first place. You can't buy a bunch of investment properties and try to claim it. Okay.
Yeah.
So he said that a new version of the bill, and I'm looking at KMOV's coverage of here, will likely include some kind of cap. So if you have a house, and they're just right now pulling numbers out of the air, but let's say it's valued at $550,000 or more, you couldn't completely freeze your bill, and probably at some point you wouldn't be able to freeze it at all later. Okay, so my sense of ethics and justice say it shouldn't matter what it is, but if that's what it takes to get it through, then at least we help some seniors on this.
I think the nose in the door approach, that the left has been taking for decades, I think we need to start employing that.
Right. But I'm looking at the coverage here, and it's funny because KMOV went and they just kind of did interviews with people who were there, So look at this. It said, outside the meeting, First Alert 4, KMOV, found Ladue resident Tom Smith, who thinks seniors in some communities could use the tax break, but others in wealthier communities such as Ladue or Clayton don't need government help. Now, first of all, this isn't government help.
Right.
This is allowing you to keep your own money. This is government. I guess if I'm going to punch you 4 times, but I decide to only punch you 3, that's somehow, I guess that's helping.
I've helped you. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah, the thinking is exactly backwards.
Right. But get this guy's comment here. This jumped out at me here. So he is quoted, this guy, Tom Smith, is quoted as saying, things are going well, things are good, and if you live in these communities, I want to know why anyone wouldn't want to pay an appropriate increase on their taxes. So he's actually saying
he's questioning.
He's saying, I don't understand. I want somebody to tell me why you wouldn't want to pay more taxes every year.
You jerk.
What a stupid line of thinking that is.
You absolute jerk. Because I will tell you this, with all confidence. Every person who advocates for higher taxes for other people is not writing that extra bill or that extra check to the government. They are not instructing their tax preparer to say, no, don't take any deductions.
Right.
I want to pay as much taxes as possible. They are not doing that.
Nobody wants to pay more taxes.
No.
A lot of people want to tax other people more.
Yes.
But they don't want to pay more taxes themselves. And look at this. I'm just going to read this next paragraph from KMOV's coverage. School districts like Parkway schools could also see less tax dollars into their coffers.
Good.
No, they don't though.
Well, yeah. Ultimately, it's not even a big deal.
I mean, I would be fine. I agree with you. I'm fine with public schools getting fewer tax dollars.
Sure,
but that's not true.
Right.
I mean, that is demonstrably false.
That's true. Because the issue is that we're talking about a reduction in a future increase.
Right.
That's what we're talking about, because when taxes freeze, that means whatever the current level is stops.
Right.
Right?
And you still pay that.
So it's not a reduction of any dollar amount that the taxes are going towards these school districts.
And that's how they wrote it. Schools like Parkway schools could also see less tax dollars into their coffers, and that is absolutely 100% factually false.
That's absolutely false.
That's not even close to accurate under this.
Yeah, they're always working under the presumption, and I've seen this so many times that there is an increase. Taxes will increase every year on year, and any reduction in that increase is called a cut.
Right.
Every single time. That's how government likes to talk. That's how the government advocates like to talk.
Well, and if they want to say, okay, well, what we meant was that there would be less percentage of taxable. Okay, well then, but that's not what you said.
Right.
You said fewer dollars coming in. That's absolutely not true. And of course, the superintendent of that district was quoted as saying, the implementation of this tax credit will be costly for school districts and the students they serve. And that was this quote from Keith Marty, who's the superintendent of Parkway Schools. And my answer to that is shut up.
Yeah.
You are still going to get more money because they are overinflating the value of our homes, and we're getting hammered on this. And so you're saying that, but I want the money for my role of government here, and screw you.
Yeah, absolutely. He's like, hey, don't reduce my little government kingdom over here.
Right.
Don't take away my increase in power. Come on.
Yep. All right. So that we'll see what that happens. They're going to look at that in early October is when they're going to look at that. My guess is that it's going to get voted down.
Yeah, probably.
Because even like in St. Charles, where they passed this in St. Charles County, they already say we know we're getting sued. They don't know how this is going to turn out.
Really? So they're thinking that the school districts
are going to sue them.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Because the school districts want to guarantee their revenue, and they couldn't give a rip about anybody in their district other than their administrators and their teachers' unions and everything like that. All right, 314-912-1019. Also here, this is the final weekend of the season for the Cardinals, and they're doing something different. And I got to tell you, if they were having a season that is normal for the Cardinals, as opposed to this season where they've already lost 90 games, which hasn't happened in I don't know how many years.
Yeah,
it's been pretty bad here. On Saturday, Adam Wainwright's not pitching, but he's picking and grinning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's actually picking and grinning or not, but he's singing.
Yeah. He'll be playing guitar. He'll be picking.
Guitar.
And singing.
Yeah, this is happening at is this happening at the stadium, like right after the game, I think?
Yes. Yeah, it's post-game on Saturday. Friday night, fans get a chance to sign a huge thank you card.
Nice.
To Adam.
Oh, wow.
Nice. So tonight.
You can do that at Friday's game. And as you mentioned, Saturday's a concert. And then Sunday afternoon, there's a pregame ceremony.
Sounds like there's going to be like a full band with a concert.
Maybe.
For Adam Wainwright here. So Channel 2 talked to him in the locker room last night, and here's what he had to say.
I'm going to be nervous for sure, but I'm going to have some fun out there. These are original songs that me and my friends have written, and we're excited to play them here in front of everybody. And one specific song is specifically for Cardinal Nation that I wrote, so I'm looking forward to playing that and pouring the heart out a little bit.
So there it is. That's on Saturday.
All right. He wrote a love song, The Cardinal Nation. Come on, guys. You got to come out for this guy. Come on.
Much. I might be able to make it to Sunday's game at the last one, so I'll see if I can work that out. That's the 2:15 game.
Yeah, that's when everybody in MLB starts at 2:15 on Sunday.
Yep, wraps up the season right around the same time. All right, got some thoughts on any of these stories? Let's hear them. We got an information segment for you right now, and just ahead, right after that, is the court system the next to be captured, like conquered, by the lefts and their narratives.
They're going for it.
Yeah, they're going for it. We'll talk about that just ahead here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
You never take advice. Someday you'll pay the price, I know.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
We've been talking about it for days, but the much-advertised warm-up really kicks in today. Mostly sunny for your Friday. Temperatures soar more than 10 degrees above normal for this time of year, up to 88. A little humid, too. Tonight, clear, dry, down to 68. Saturday, a run for the record. I'm forecasting a high of 91. The record in St. Louis is 93. Not much change Sunday, up to 88. Autumn air potentially arriving late next week. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Cheney.
News, analysis, opinion.
They're literally taking the Constitution and putting it in a paper shredder.
News Talk STL.
Get involved and make a difference. Be part of this year's St. Louis County Lincoln Reagan Day dinner featuring former Trump Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley. Plus, special MC for the night, News Talk STL's own Chris Arps. Have dinner, support the St. Louis County RNC, and hear Hogan Gidley Saturday night, September 30th in the River City Casino Ballroom. For more information, visit stlcorepublicans.org. That's stlcorepublicans.org.
Paid for by the Republican Central Committee of St. Louis County. Kevin Turner, Treasurer. Not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
When veterans return to civilian life, they deserve your recognition and support. You can help put vets to work by donating your car, truck, or van to Patriotic Hearts. Your donation will directly support programs to help vets find jobs or even start their own business. Donate today for fast, free pickup of your vehicle, running or not. Call 800-209-3485. 800-209-3485. 800-209-3485.
Sponsored by Patriotic Hearts.
Consumer Cellular's award-winning customer support is 100% based in the U.S. And you are 100% based in the U.S. That's something you have in common with Consumer Cellular's customer service. Consumer Cellular's customer service likes pizza. And you like pizza. You want a free month of service, and we want to give you one. We obviously can't wait to hear from you. Visit consumercellular.com/free month and enter code free month to get your second month free. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Promotion is subject to terms and conditions.
Columbo and Katie.
On Friday, we'll have more fallout from the debate, and we'll discuss the new $20 minimum wage for fast food workers in California with Gabe Pfeiffer. Plus, we'll get the weekend forecast from Steve Templeton at 2:45.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, are the court systems around the country, is the court process, the judiciary, the next to be captured by leftist culture conquerors? They're trying. Interesting approach they've got here, because this is actually more than just, we just disagree, but be nice with your words. This is a much bigger implication.
Absolutely. This is huge.
Yeah. All right, News Talk STL's weekend programming. Mark McCloskey on Fire. It happens Sunday afternoon from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock right here on 1019, 94.1 News Talk STL. And on Mark's Rumble, he's got some big numbers on that Rumble. A lot of people love watching him on Rumble, but you can hear him over the air as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to get to this court thing here in just a moment. It looks like Mike's got something to say about the property tax thing, because if you're just joining us, in St. Louis County, the Republicans there want to bring back the proposed property tax freeze, and they're saying, okay, we'll make a deal on it. Let's at least get it in place for some, if not for everybody, or if not fully effect for everybody. Mike, thanks for being on the show. What's your take?
Sure. Well, I think you were saying that it would not defund school districts. I think that's what you said.
Well,
it would not defund fire departments.
Well, what I said was the article said there that the if it were passed, that it would result in fewer, because KMOV said it would result in fewer dollars going into the school district's coffers, which is false.
Right. So that's defunding the school district if they're getting less money.
But they're not getting less money.
No, they would be collecting, St. Charles would be collecting less property taxes, which means less money for the public schooling system.
That's not correct.
And I understand.
No.
That's not correct.
It is.
Okay, so let me explain it. Let me explain it again. So whatever the tax dollars that are being collected today would not change.
Right.
That dollar amount is frozen for all time, essentially, for somebody of whatever age older. Now, the potential increases would be reduced.
Right. That would not happen. But they would not get fewer dollars. They would get the same number of dollars from that property.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if they were not to pass it, they would end up getting more money in the future. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Let me just tell you something. I'm a state representative. I'm a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy listening to your show. This is the wrong way of going about working on property taxes for senior citizens. This is defunding the school districts and defunding the fire departments. The fire departments also will get less funding in the long run. That's the reality. That's defunding the fire departments. Do Republicans want to defund the fire department?
Okay, so
here
you
we
want
go.
This one, Gabe? Okay.
Yeah, I mean this is.
By the way, can I just point out that I really appreciate that you're calling in?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, because I love having these
and
debates.
And I have a solution too. If you give me time to give it to you, I got a solution.
So let's do this.
Well,
Gabe,
that's actually what I was going to ask, because the
So-
thing is, this doesn't restrict any lawmaker's ability to find those. If you're saying that this reduction in future growth, that's what we're talking about, a reduction in future growth is going to somehow be crippling to either of those institutions, you are not precluded from finding that funding elsewhere.
Okay. Well, the reality is that Missouri is 49th in the country at funding our schools on a state level. 49th. We are also 50th in the country at starter teacher pay. We're 48th at current teacher pay. So we're at the very bottom when it comes to funding our schools. And what does that mean? And I'm talking about on the state level. What does that mean? That means we have to jack up local taxes and property taxes for senior citizens on fixed incomes that have lived in the same house for 40 years, that are retired, that are having to go back to work because they can't afford all of the taxes, all of the new real estate taxes that keep going up and up and up every year. Okay. What I want to do and what I want to see is something that does not give our public schooling system, that we already give such a small amount of money from compared to the rest of the entire country, which is also frustrating. So it's like, oh, look how bad our schools are. Well, we're 49th in the country at funding them. What would you expect? Would you expect them to be great schools? Because we don't fund them. So we kind of set them up for failure. The Republicans have been in control for over 20 years now. What I want to do is I want to bring back the Homestead Act. And I have filed it for the past 3 years. It's something the state of Missouri used to do. It expired in 2010. And basically, it's circuit breaker, which gives senior citizens that are on fixed incomes a break on their property taxes. And I just want to bring it back. And the reason that I'm not even changing any of the legislation is because we know how to do it. We have the infrastructure. It's just something that expired in 2010. But if we were to bring that back, the state of Missouri will cover all of those lost revenues when it comes to the fire departments and the public schooling system.
Hey, Mike,
so
let me ask a point of clarification.
Is a solution where we would not lose any funds for our schools and for our fire departments.
Okay, just a point of clarification. You say a circuit breaker for the property taxes or the seniors, and this is truly a technical question. How is that different from freezing the property taxes if one is a circuit breaker break and the other is that? So explain what the difference is between those two, because what we've got here is, and this is where we're going to disagree, is that to me, I'm looking at the senior citizens. You mentioned the fixed income, that they can't afford the taxes. I think that the policy should favor them over the expense of government institutions. That's just where we disagree. But explain the difference between those two.
Well, when you're talking about freezing property taxes, that's literally just freezing them. Right. And from the way that the legislation was written, that we passed in Jefferson City, there's no really means test for it, so it would go for pretty much everybody. And the circuit breaker is just for folks that are very low income on fixed incomes, and you basically get a credit back from the state. So you pay your property taxes, what you're owed every year, you pay that, but then the state credits you some of that money. And what my legislation does, which, like I said, we used to do up until 2010, is it just goes a little farther than circuit breaker. It's called the Homestead Act. You can Google it, Missouri Homestead Act. It's got my name on it. And the thing is I represent District 92, which is down in South St. Louis County. Mm-hmm. I got a lot of senior citizens in my district. A lot of folks know me for spearheading the effort to save Tower T. And when I was doing that, I was going door to door before I was even an elected official, talking to folks and a lot of senior citizens that were worried about their property taxes going up if they were to put homes where they wanted to. Thankfully, we were able to save Tower T, but it's a real thing. And the reality is that it's a real problem. It actually ends up costing the state more, because when we end up having to kick these senior citizens out of their homes because they're behind in their property taxes, Missouri has to pay for it. And it's really because from on the state level, like I said, we're 49th in the country at funding our schools from a state level.
Do you know what the average spending per pupil is around Missouri?
The average is around 11,000.
Yeah, because
between 10 and
I'd
11,000.
read 12 or 13 depending on the area, but 11,000 that sounds
Yeah.
about right.
Well, like
Yeah.
for instance, in Afton, I mean, the way that it's set up in the state of Missouri is, if you live in a rich neighborhood, they spend a lot of money on you. If you're in a poor neighborhood, they spend like less than half. So it's a way to kind of keep rich people rich and poor people poor. So like if you go to Ladue, they spend like $24,000 each on each student, and if you go to like Afton, where I'm from, where I went to high school until my last 2 years, it's about 11 or 12. So it just really depends where you live. And I think the system is it's set up based on the property values in the neighborhood. But there's a reason that we have failing schools, and it's because we haven't funded them. So I
don't believe that, but I appreciate your perspective.
49th in the 49th in the country.
There are schools that spend way less money than any Missouri schools, and they get a lot better results. I don't think it's a money issue, but it's a great agreement.
Well, then we talk about solutions, and I don't know where you stand on this. Representative Michael Burton, I really appreciate you being on the show here, and this was a pleasant surprise. You talk about the disparity. You mentioned Afton and Ladue and all those sorts of things. I mean, there's a big
amount of money per
right.
people. Yeah.
So there's a obviously a lot of conservatives, not all Republicans, but a lot of conservatives saying, okay, well, this is exactly the case that we're making for school choice. And, the catchphrase is fund the students, not the systems. Let the parents and let the kids go where they're going to get the maximum amount of money. And if the school sucks where they're at, then they've got a lot of opportunities opened up and the kids can access that now. I mean, so what's your take on that?
You're talking about taking public dollars. You're talking about taking public taxpayer dollars and putting them into a private for-profit entity, not a public school, but for charter schools and for private schools. And what it's going to do is it's going to destroy the public schooling system. Now, I understand some Republicans want to destroy the public schooling system. They hate the teachers' unions. I think there is some validity when it comes to some things that are going on in our public schools that I think we can have conversations about, that I also have concerns, but I think it's blown way out of proportion. Our teachers are not groomers. Yes, you can find random videos on TikTok of a teacher talking about, transgender issues and things like that. But the majority of our teachers, the overwhelming majority of our teachers, are just teaching our kids, and they're doing the best that we can. And I just cannot believe how much folks on the right, which, I'm listening to you guys.
Oh, yeah. Everything you're saying.
I watch more Fox News than CNN and all that stuff because I want to know what's being put in my fellow Americans' heads. But the amount of attacks on our public schooling system, our public schooling system is amazing. There's a reason why so many inventions in the entire world have come out of the United States. It's because we have had this incredible education system that every kid gets a good education. But I am not for taking public dollars to give to private for-profit schools, and at the same time, it's going to destroy our public schooling system. And the thing is that the Missourians in rural Missouri really better be careful, because they think this is only going to happen in St. Louis and Kansas City, where it's going to destroy the public schooling system. No, it's gonna travel on out to rural Missouri as well. So, but my point is cutting property taxes for senior citizens. It does need to happen. But whenever I heard you say that it's not going to defund, or they're not going to get less money, yes, they're not going to get less money, but they're also not going to get more money, which is what they need, and what would be the trajectory of what they would normally get. So if St. Charles wants to, kind of screw themselves and also screw their fire departments, I guess we'll kind of see how it's going to work out there. But I'm hoping in January, when we get back into Jefferson City, I'm going to file my legislation again to bring back the Homestead Act. And it's a way to give that relief to senior citizens while also fully funding our schools and our fire departments.
Okay, we've got to get to an information break here. Representative Burton, thank you so much. Pleasant surprise. Didn't know you were calling in.
Thanks for calling.
You and I need to connect. Email me, and let's do this more often, because, you and I disagree a lot, but I think we can prove that we can have the conversations on it. So my email's really quick, mike@newstalkstl.com. I'm putting it out there for everybody. Email me Representative. Let's do this again. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, I'd love to come back on. And one thing I'll just share for your listeners is that, there's 163 of us in the House, 51 of us are Democrats. And believe it or not, the Democrats and the Republicans, definitely not always, but we actually get along a whole lot more than people even realize, and work together on stuff. And I just want your listeners to know that. So,
and I've spent a lot of time in the Capitol halls. That's true.
I mean, we do work together. Where people. Well, this is my third year, so when I first got there, I was like, oh wow, like people are getting along and actually working on good legislation, and we don't hate each other. And there's some people that are actually here for the right reasons. So it was kind of a shock to me. So, but yeah, I'll send you an email. I'd love to come back on your show, and just had to correct that one little thing whenever I heard and had to call in. So.
Well, we just disagree on it. So we just, but the actual dollars and the percentages are two different things. That's what I was calling out, was their claim that the actual dollars would go down, which is actually not true. Now, you compare that to the what would be, that is a difference, and we have been talking about that. So, yeah, let's pick this up, and, because when the legislative session, we have lawmakers on at least once a week, and I try to get a variety of them. But with your willingness to actually engage like this, let's do it again, Representative.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks so much for calling in. Seriously, send me the email. We'll connect.
Yeah.
You got it.
All right, thanks. And again, stuff we just disagree on.
Yeah,
completely disagree on.
And it's funny because we end up talking at like this a very deep level about some of these things, but it goes further than that. There's some fundamental differences. Like I have a fundamental problem with property taxes to begin with.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So just as a moral issue. So then when we're talking, yes, we can talk about the funding, and what's the impact of doing this and making these sort of changes. And yes, those are all relevant points, but I always come back to, yes, but my goal is to get rid of property taxes as a concept in America.
Right. Well, and then we've got a very different assessment of the school system.
And then there's that. Then there's, and that goes real deep.
But that's where I want to have a lot of those conversations. So I appreciate it. Now, we didn't get to the court thing. We'll do that maybe in the 8 o'clock hour.
Yeah, we'll
get to it. But that was a lot better. So I appreciate
that. Was great.
All right, 314-912-1019. Just ahead. Speaking of the difference between conservatives and liberals, you found something on social media, which I think is fascinating that everybody needs to know. Honestly, I'd say every conservative needs to know in particular.
Gosh, pay attention.
Probably everybody needs to know, because those censors and that suppression is still out there. Elon didn't solve the problem. So this is fascinating. Right around 6:52, we'll talk about that on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
For taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, Sean Long for STL FenceWorks. STL FenceWorks is proud and excited to install American-made aluminum and vinyl fence products, as well as American-made decking. For instance, STL FenceWorks has teamed up with Jareth Manufacturing. Jareth invented the aluminum fence industry over 50 years ago. The Jareth product is wholly sourced and manufactured in the U.S., and STL FenceWorks is the third largest Jareth customer in the world. STL FenceWorks is vinyl fencing also, and not just white. We partner with National Vinyl Products to provide you with tan, clay, gray, and variegated wood grain vinyl fence products too, all made in the U.S. Not to be forgotten, STL FenceWorks is maintenance-free decking. STL FenceWorks is the #1 distributor of Wolf Cellular PVC in the Midwest, proudly manufactured in the U.S. and voted #1 maintenance-free decking product in the United States. Let STL FenceWorks make your outdoor space magical. Visit STLFenceWorks.com today and learn how we can make your backyard dreams into a reality. At STL FenceWorks, your satisfaction is our passion.
Picture this, a room filled with fellow Republicans, all with one question. What could the future of St. Louis City look like under the leadership of Bill Eigel as governor?
Hi, this is Mary Teresa McClain with the Republican Party, City of St. Louis. It's more than a meeting. It's an invitation to hear Senator Bill Eigel talk about the future of our city.
Join us on Thursday, October 5th. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. Visit stlouisrepublicans.com for more details.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Mystic Fix is sponsored by Comma Flight, redefining the dance between the masculine and feminine. Comma Flight is a somatic movement practice merging yoga, meditation, and massage. Workshops in 2023 are at the Chosen Retreat Center in Sebastian, Florida. For more, visit Comma Flight on Instagram at KAMAFLIGHT.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning.
Very pleasant surprise getting a call from Democratic State Representative Michael Burton and that debate that just kind of happened on the spot.
That was a great discussion, and if you notice there, nobody yelled at each other.
No, not at all. And I'm looking forward to his email because we can show that you can have those debates. It sounds like he and I disagree on almost everything.
Yes.
Probably not almost
from kind of a fundamental level.
We disagree on a lot. There's probably something we agree on, but there's a lot we disagree on.
Sure.
And so I'd love to regularly have those conversations. So we'll connect here later.
Yeah,
That was a very pleasant surprise.
Absolutely.
Representative, thank you so much for calling in. All right.
And thanks for listening.
Yeah, 6:54 right now. All right, you found something interesting on Twitter here because we've got just a few minutes for the next information segment with an update on the impeachment and inquiry and all that kind of stuff. But we're talking about the way that social media, in this case it's going to be X, but I'm sure that Twitter, all of the others I'm sure are doing something similar.
Yeah.
And they're targeting certain words. So if you're saying, why am I not reaching my audience? This is why.
Yeah, Chaya Raichik, who is famous now as the creator of Libs of TikTok.
Right.
You know, she doxed herself. Eventually, basically, she revealed herself. Came out so she's been doing this experiment where she would see what words get you demonetized on Twitter. Now, demonetization for Twitter. Okay, for creators who have a certain level of reach, they have ads that are embedded into the comment section of their tweets. So, she has a tweet that says, "Hey, look at this craziness that happened on the libs on TikTok," and then there's all these comments down below. In the middle of those, you get the ads, and they do revenue sharing with those large creators for those ads. Right. Now, here's what she found: ads are not included under posts that include a list of words, and she's compiling this list. She's doing experiments showing, with the proper spelling of the word.
I think she had some leaks from within the company too.
I think that helped. Yeah. I think that helped spur this whole thing on. So she would post with the words or phrase spelled out, and then a post with the words censored, and that's she's including like weird symbols and things like that in place of letters. So she has a list of her top 10 right now: drag queen, porn, groomer, innocence or innocent.
Really?
That's number 4.
That will get you demonetized and probably get you throttled.
Probably throttled too. Yes, I don't think she's checked that.
Wow.
Trans, LGBTQ, police.
Really?
Police.
Wow.
Non-binary, ugly for some reason. And
you know what? We need less ugly in the world.
We do. That's ugly. But this was a real big shocker right here. Amen.
What?
The word amen, the word that we use to end prayers or to express an agreement with a statement that's made. Amen will get your post demonetized.
Oh, okay, so let's talk about how that matters. I mean, we're going to shortchange on time here, but that right there, clearly, if that's what's in their algorithms and that's what will get you demonetized, that's what will get you throttled, well, then that's clearly aimed at a particular worldview, people who are going to be talking from a Christian perspective.
Absolutely, and the doing so discourages discussion on those things. It's a control of language that we haven't seen before until social media, and now we got to deal with it.
these companies still have far more control, we realized. And my understanding is Elon Musk is responding by like, okay, I need to check into that.
Yeah, absolutely. He's on it, but we'll see.
It's not finished. He's
It's not
fighting.
done.
He's fighting with his own company. But yeah, the culture warriors want to be cultural conquerors.
BTO is back. Bachman Turner Overdrive. Back in Overdrive Tour. October 19th at the Family Arena. BTO Live with Mark Farner's American Band. Reserve seats on sale now at the Carroll House Furniture box office at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. Don't miss the return of BTO in concert.
John Michael Montgomery. Live. The multiple Grammy, CMA, and ACM award winner. John Michael Montgomery with McBride and the Ride. Friday, October 20th at the Family Arena. Reserved seats are on sale now at the Carroll House box office located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. John Michael Montgomery, live in concert.
Hey, it's your buddy Todd Showalter from The Right Mind Show. For 25 years, offices, hotels, restaurants, and churches have been saving money and time by shopping at discountcoffee.com. They offer the largest selection of name brand coffee, tea, cappuccino, break room supplies, and free shipping to your home or office. Plus, get an extra 15% off when you use the coupon code RightMind. That's discountcoffee.com. Order now at discountcoffee.com.
Tim Jones here. I want to tell you about an awesome business located in my hometown of Eureka, Missouri that we use all the time for our exterior homestead needs. Eureka Contracting and Roofing. Veteran owned. They will come to you and schedule a one-on-one consultation. They know that replacing your roof or anything on the exterior of your home is always a really big deal, which is why they've always got a no pressure, no obligation inspection and evaluation. Fully licensed and insured. Nothing but the highest quality of materials made right here in the USA. 636-938-ROOF. 636-938-ROOF. EurekaContracting.com. That's EurekaContracting.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Congress continues struggling to come to an agreement on funding bills to avert a partial government shutdown, now less than 48 hours away. Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz says the proposals he has seen so far don't go far enough in curbing out of control federal spending.
My frustration is that we're $33 trillion in debt, running $2 trillion annual deficits with no real end in sight. That's my frustration.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy wants tighter border security as part of any funding deal. He says he's discussed that with some in the Democrat-controlled Senate.
I've talked this morning to some Democratic senators over there that are more aligned with what we want to do. They want to do something about the border. So trying to work to see, could we put some border provisions in that current Senate bill that would actually make things a lot better.
The House has said yes to $300 million more for Ukraine. The vote 311 to 117, and all of the no votes came from Republican lawmakers. California hiking the minimum wage for fast food employees, $20 an hour.
California is among the first states to have a minimum wage specifically for fast food workers. The raise takes effect April 1st and applies to fast food restaurants that have at least 60 locations nationwide. The law does not apply to restaurants that make and sell their own bread. California's minimum wage for all other workers is $15.50 per hour. That's among the highest in the country. I'm Ben Thomas.
Teenager Ethan Crumley, he fatally shot 4 students at Michigan's Oxford High School in 2021, will earn his punishment today. He could get life in prison either with or without parole. On Wall Street, Dow futures up 135 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 79. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Factor pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. be the next success story.
You can host the best backyard barbecue when you find a professional on Angie to make your backyard the best around. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
We've been talking about it for days, but the much advertised warm-up really kicks in today. Mostly sunny for your Friday. Temperatures soar more than 10 degrees above normal for this time of year, up to 88. A little humid, too. Tonight, clear, dry, down to 68. Saturday, a run for the record. I'm forecasting a high of 91. The record in St. Louis is 93. Not much change Sunday, up to 88. Autumn air potentially arriving late next week. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Colombo here with an awesome offer from the cleaning pros we trust with our home, the team at Zero Res. Mention the Colombo special when you book a cleaning in September, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129 plus $100 off your air duct cleaning, which is perfect this time of year because it will help alleviate allergies and asthma, lower your energy bills, and keep your home cleaner longer. Just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
This Saturday night at 10 on Stories of New Americans.
I'm joined by Helen Gannon, who is from Ireland. Did you want to go back to Ireland?
Oh, I did. I think that anyone who emigrates will realize the painful transition of emigrating.
Yeah.
I was miserable. All I wanted to do was to go back home.
Stories of New Americans, Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
It's Friday!
Hey, Gabe, I've already wished Stell this, so I just want to formally say this to you as well. Happy National Coffee Day.
Oh, yes. Happy National Coffee Day. Yes. Have you had your daily cup of white supremacy today?
See, on National Coffee Day, you're going to have to give an explanation.
Yes, I have to give the explanation. Among all of the various things that the left has included as part of white supremacy, we have drinking milk, exercising, being on time, having a work ethic, and coffee. For some reason, I am not even kidding. I am simply quoting headlines that I've seen describing various things as contributing to white supremacy. So I always talk about having my daily cup of white supremacy.
And so much of that comes out of the academy.
Yes.
I mean, it's like the institutions, these medieval institutions that are supposed to be where all the smart people are, they come up with the dumbest frickin' ideas that you can imagine.
Well, they have to write papers constantly, so they have to come up with reasons to write papers.
Exactly. All right, we are headed into the weekend with an operational federal government. I'm not going to say a functioning federal government, but an operational federal government.
They're doing stuff.
Yeah, when we get into next week after the weekend, we're probably not going to have one. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Also, still ahead here, you remember that old Van Halen song, Hot for Teacher?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Well, there's a modern twist on that here in the area.
Oh, boy.
And a teacher is probably going to lose her job, but end up making a lot more money.
Mm-hmm. That's how it goes.
So this is kind of a sign of the times. We'll explain it at 7:20 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Picture I know, but there's a lot of people who are, because I do these teases because I want you obviously to be interested and still listening at that point. There's people like, okay, I got the worst case scenario in my mind. Not quite the worst case scenario, but sort of kind of in the neighborhood of that.
Yeah.
So I'll explain that just ahead. Okay, we're looking at a government shutdown. I'm going to go out on a limb and just guess it's going to happen. Here, the Senate says we don't like the Republican bill in the House. The Republicans in the House saying we don't like the Democratic Senate bill in the that's coming our way here. So they don't appear to be close to a deal for any sort of new spending plan. If anything were to happen, I could see Schumer and McCarthy saying, fine, let's just keep what's happening right now for another 4 to 6 weeks, and then we'll hammer out something then. That's the only thing I could think happened. But I'm going to guess that come Monday or so, we're going to have a partial federal government shutdown and all of the wailing and the gnashing of the teeth that comes along with it.
Yes. They're going to shut down all the national parks and put barriers around, I don't know, like war memorials so World War II veterans can't go visit their memorial to them. Stuff like that. That stuff is going to start happening.
Yeah, and there are some offices that will close.
Sure,
we had a soundbite a little bit earlier. I mean, there could be aspects of like the Small Business Administration that, they're not processing stuff. Your Social Security checks are going out.
Yeah.
Just fine, I mean, so.
But you can't go in and have problems resolved and things like that. So, I mean, there is going to be an impact.
Right, yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
that's
because
true.
they're known for solving those things. So, boy, both my parents dealing with Social Security Administration, you
got stories.
They've got stories on that. So in other words, your problems won't get solved, but that may not necessarily be a change. You just don't have to be on the phone to have your problems not solved by the Social Security Administration.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what this comes down to. For most people, this is not going to affect our lives.
Yeah.
Not at least unless it goes on for months and months. But it's likely not going to affect our lives. So one of the other things that you hear a lot is, your car military and other people, including like TSA, and they have to go to work without any pay. And in some cases, they are told to do that as well.
Yes, because they're essential.
Well, and they're going to get all the back pay later.
That's really kind of key.
Right.
I mean, this is definitely a disruption to their cash flow normally. Like
Sure.
if you pass 2 pay periods without getting a check, that can mess up your household budget for sure.
For most people, that absolutely would be devastating. I mean, I was just talking to one of my friends from Bankrate.com yesterday, and we were just chatting. I mean, we did an interview for another project, but they were telling me, they said, yeah, most people don't have any savings. Most people don't have like $700-800 in savings, much less that 3 months or 6 months that people like Dave Ramsey want you to have.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
So this is incredibly disruptive to them. In areas where there's a high federal government workforce, and there's not a huge one in St. Louis. There are bigger ones in other areas.
Obviously, D.C.
Yeah,
that's a huge area.
Kansas City has I think the biggest employer in Kansas City, I believe, is the federal government.
Right.
Because they have so many offices in there. Omaha has a pretty large federal workforce there, things like that. So there's a lot of those people you just mentioned, they're deemed non-essential, so they're just sent home. They don't get a check. I don't know if they can claim unemployment or not when that happens, but then they get all their payback, when it's all done. And then my question is, if they're non-essential, why are we paying for them in the first place?
That's one of those really, really big questions. I mean, and on some level, you say, okay, non-essential isn't necessarily, not required, but there's certainly an argument to be made that the government, and we started the show off saying this basically, that there are things the government does that is too much. It's beyond the scope of what the government is supposed to be doing, and the fact that we have sections of the government that we can shut down for months on end and it not really affect most of us that much says something about our priorities in this country.
When you look at stacking every level of taxes, like for instance earlier today, and this will end up being on our podcast a little bit later on, State Representative Michael Burton, who's a Democrat from South County, called in, which was not scheduled or planned. I didn't realize that was going to happen, but it turned out to be a great conversation.
Yeah.
Is that there is an essential disagreement with the nature of what government is and should be. Okay. So we were talking about, for instance, property taxes at a very local level. municipal level, county level. You know, you talk about everything on there. You stack up those taxes that you pay at the local level, the state level, the federal level. You talk about the taxes that you pay on whether it's consumption or the taxes that you pay. For instance, my wife and I invested in our home and did some big renovations lately. What we pay to the city of Richmond Heights is basically a commission based on that. So we get penalized financially for investing in our home, which then increases the value, which then they tax us more for. So they provide every financial disincentive to do it. We just want to live in a really nice home. And so what we're paying for, I have somebody say, yeah, but you're paying for all the inspectors to make sure it's done right and protecting you. Well, the inspector showed up to our house Wednesday to come do the final inspection on that bathroom renovation. Do you know what he did, guys?
What's that?
He walked up there, walked into the bathroom, did a 360, flushed the toilet, went, yep, looks good. That was the final inspection. Yeah.
Oh no.
That was the final inspection.
Oh,
He goes,
yeah.
okay, you can take this thing off your window, and I'm signing off on it. And I'm not making fun of the guy. That's his job.
Sure.
But that's why did we pay a percentage of all of the cost of our renovation to the city for that? Okay, but I say all that to point out that when you add up, and some of the most conservative estimates are that the typical American pays about 54% of everything you earn to government at some level.
Yeah.
Some level.
Yeah, because when you add it all up, because most people just think of their federal tax burden, and they think, okay, well that's the federal tax burden. That's fine. Well, there is also the state tax. There's also some counties have a tax, sales tax, right? There's city municipalities that have their own sales tax. Sales taxes that are absorbed by corporations are often passed through to the price of the good.
Right.
So you're paying more than just the sales tax
And that 54%,
to the government.
Yeah, that 54% doesn't even inclule that.
Oh, it doesn't include that?
No.
Oh,
We're
wow.
talking the actual taxes
Oh,
that
wow.
you're paying.
Just like taxes.
Sales, property, income, everything that you pay. I mean, I bought a used car a few weeks ago. I mean, it's a nice used car, but I went and bought it, and let's just say the amount of money I had to pay for that was stunning. Just to pay the sales taxes on that car, and then I'm going to have to pay property taxes on that car because I want to keep the privilege of owning what I've already paid for. To the government. And so when you look at, I mean, think about it. If you've got all of these taxes, and the most conservative one that I found is 54%.
Yeah.
Others argue it's a lot more than that, but let's just say 54%. That means that you have to work into the first week of July just to meet all of the tax obligations government puts on you. This is where the representative and I completely disagree. I say that's more important than increasing funding for government institutions in years ahead. I would rather protect us than those government institutions. And I know we're talking about public schools.
Yeah.
I am more worried about protecting family, households, seniors, families. My wife and I do okay. I'm more worried about protecting our finances than I am the school district that has written into its mission statement promoting trans ideology, which that it is more widespread than I think what he argues that it is. But those are the debates that we're going to have here. But I am more worried about those families. I think it should be people first, not government first. As well. Are there functions that have to be funded? Absolutely.
Sure.
Nobody is saying that. I'm not an anarchist by any means. However, I do think there are a lot of things where we say, well, in order to fund these, we're going to have to raise taxes. Well, then at some point, we as a society need to be saying, okay, what do we not need to fund? Let's get rid of and see if there's a market for it. We don't have to provide everything for everybody. We don't have to be something where I have to provide for other people. And that's where the rub comes in, because somebody's going to say, but they need this. Well, that's different than, do I have a responsibility to pay for it?
I looked up Tax Freedom Day just a second ago, and the idea based on the concept of at this day the federal government, and it is exclusively the federal government, I think. No, it says taxes at all levels of government are included in that calculation. Okay, and by this day, all of those things are kind of funded. This calculation is a little different than the one I think you saw that takes it out to July. This one takes it out to about April. But the most striking thing that occurred to me was this calculation, the sheet by the Tax Foundation, a Washington D.C. based think tank that calculated the tax freedom day annually based on various years and what the tax burden was in general. So in 1900, January 22nd was Tax Freedom Day. The tax burden on the people was 5.9%. And by 1950, as the Great Society is just about getting ready to start popping off, 24.6%.
Yeah.
March 31st. And it gets worse from there.
Yeah. And, that one, does that say everything or does that just say federal government?
It does say everything. So they may be using a different calculator than some of the other ones that I've seen. But, yeah.
I've seen multiple ones that put it closer to that
to July
50%, but that makes 50 to 54%, that's half the year that you're working to pay some kind of tax. Now, maybe that's including sales taxes and all the things that you do admittedly have some control over. You can stop buying stuff. If you don't want to pay more in sales taxes, you can do that.
Well, except groceries.
But as you said, Mike, combining the taxes, walk across the Mississippi here, go into Illinois.
Yeah. Woo!
My goodness. So if you toss in Illinois, New York, and California, those states, plus Washington, Oregon, and a few others. But, I'm thinking of driving up to Chicago. The taxes in Chicago are overwhelming.
That burden is huge.
My advice is to not do a Stell said and don't go.
Don't go to those places.
Right. Okay, just ahead here, a teacher in not in St. Louis but nearby St. Louis here. Turns out that she has a side gig that the school district not really wild about.
So it's not like Uber Eats or anything?
No. She's not door dashing.
Okay.
Oh boy, it's made national news. I'll tell you about it around 7:21 on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9 94.1 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Stop it right now before you blow us all away. Get up, get up.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
The St. Charles County Council unanimously passed the tax freeze for seniors in that county. St. Louis County hasn't done it yet. David Stokes, we'll talk to him from the Show Me Institute Friday morning at 9:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
It's your last chance to cut a deal at Seidenstricker Nobe Partners. Save up to $5,000 on select John Deere compact tractor packages with our exclusive 10-year warranty. And we're offering 0% financing for 60 months with zero down. Get your John Deere equipment by shopping online or visiting us at any of our 28 locations. Let's cut a deal now before it's too late. snpartners.com.
Offer valid through 9/30/2023. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
School choice is an idea whose time has come. It's flourishing in many states, just not in Missouri. Take charter schools, a great alternative for parents whose kids may be trapped in a failing school district. But charter schools are currently only available to families in just 3 of 520 school districts: Kansas City, the city of St. Louis, and Normandy. Open enrollment allows students to enroll in a district other than the one in which they live. It's important because rural schools may not offer all the advanced classes larger districts do. Open enrollment does exist in Missouri, but participation is highly restricted. And the Empowerment Scholarship Account, or ESA program, needs to be expanded so many more parents of students with disabilities and low-income students can access it. Charter schools, open enrollment, ESAs. If they're good for some children, they should be good for all children. Check out our 2023 blueprint, Moving Missouri Forward, at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Fox News commentary.
This big box woke retailer is forced to close several stores thanks to skyrocketing theft and crime. Can you guess the store? I'm Tommy Lahren. Find out next.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
On the woke scale, Target ranks up there with the best of the worst, and now it's coming back to bite them square in the pocketbook. Target will close 9 of its stores, including the East Harlem location in New York City, 2 locations in Seattle, 3 locations in Portland, and 3 locations in San Francisco and Oakland, citing the huge toll theft and organized crime have taken on stores, inventory, and employee safety. Target previously estimated a loss of $500 million this year due to theft. The company admitted added security and anti-theft strategies weren't enough. These areas are too dangerous, and the juice ain't worth the squeeze. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if brick and mortar stores cease to exist in 10 years. I don't care how loving and liberal these corporations want to act like they are. None of them can sustain this level of looting and lawlessness. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 1019 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Tune in to us at 8 p.m. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
All right, a teacher launches a side hustle doing, well, I'll just say it, online porn.
Yep.
And is surprised that the school found out about it. She's probably getting fired. She knows that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you put stuff out on the internet, it's public.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
all of it.
But sort of.
Sort of.
This one's subscription-based, which we'll get to.
Still public.
All right.
It's the internet.
Also, still ahead here, an entire policing district in St. Louis City almost left with no police patrols because of a staffing shortage. Jane Duker is going to be with us at 7:35 to explain what's going on there. Also, I'm going to ask her about a case before the Missouri Supreme Court. You remember that they passed the Police Officers Bill of Rights?
Mm-hmm.
St. Louis City's challenging that. They want that overturned. They want that law struck down. So we'll get the update on that as well. Okay, so here's the story in St. Clair. So we're not talking about like St. Louis, like proper or right in the metro. We're talking what St. Clair High School, which is 50 miles from St. Louis. So it's
off
kind
of
of
44,
yeah,
southwest
it's
of
in
here.
the region, yeah, southwest of here, yeah. And so there is a teacher named Brianna Coppage, and she has been found out because she and her husband, but basically she has decided that after school, she goes home and she does OnlyFans, which is basically the platform where you can do your own spicy videos.
Right. Yes. It's a I think it's member based or something like that. Like you sign up and you pay a fee and then you get access to this particular person.
Subscribe to whatever it is you want there. Okay. So this is in Franklin County. So I guess it is the region. It's in Franklin County.
Mm-hmm.
And so she joined that website over the summer, she says, to supplement her teacher's salary.
Right.
Because, door dashing or something isn't
No, you don't want to do that.
So I'm looking at the Post-Dispatch article, which she did an interview with them. So I'm not like exposing, well, she's the one exposing, but I'm not, I'm not saying anything she hasn't already said in public here.
Right.
So she was an English teacher to high school freshmen and sophomores, which is what?
Oh my gosh.
14, 15, 16 years old?
Yeah.
So she was teaching English. She was teaching freshmen and sophomore high schoolers. And according to the Post-Dispatch, a public record, she made $42,000 a year, but she's earning an additional $8,000 to $10,000 per month doing smut.
Yeah.
And so she said she chose the site because the content is only available to subscribers, and she thought it would help protect her identity.
Why are they so stupid? I mean, no, I mean, seriously, because I've seen this story 40 times,
Yeah.
and it's always the same. It's like I just wanted to supplement my income, and I just want to do this, and I figured it would be safe. But no. Everybody is going to find out.
What goes into your mind to think that this, if you have this job and you are responsible for being a role model to younger people, and that's what teachers, part of your job description is to do. That's why they're trying to put all these ideologies in through the teachers, because they're there to model for the students, which is the problem that, one of the many problems I've got. So can you argue that, listen, she dresses modestly, she doesn't deal in any sexuality, she doesn't even talk about this, and there's no indication that there's any issue with her teaching in the classroom.
Sure.
So does somebody say, well, what she does in her private time is the same? If you go wait tables, that's fine. If you go bartend, that's fine. If you go do smut and get naked for people online, what's the problem?
Well, I'll tell you the problem, because the internet isn't. A paywall is not going to protect your identity. It really won't. And what's going to happen is somebody's going to find your images and they're going to share them, and all of a sudden, every student, every male student, actually female students in your classroom will know what you look like naked.
She's quoted in the Post-Dispatch articles by saying, they haven't made a decision yet, meaning the school district, but I'm just kind of putting the pieces together that I'm not coming back. I'm very aware that I'm probably never going to teach again, but that was kind of the risk I knew I was taking. I am sad about that. I do miss my students, but don't worry. In a couple years, they'll be 18 and they can
subscribe.
And watch you do whatever it is that you do.
Yeah, there you go.
She says, that was like my completely separate personal life outside of teaching. It doesn't work that way, you idiot.
That's not how that works. That is not how that works. And part of the thing that also gets me is, why is this such a viable option? I know there's a lot of money in it.
Oh yeah.
But why is the selling of your soul on the internet such an easy decision for people to make? I get it. It's modern year and people have different ideas about things. But seriously, this type of stuff will destroy you. And there are so many people who have said publicly, this destroyed my life. I've seen, as I look for articles and things like that for Not Today, Satan, I come across these stories all the time. OnlyFans destroyed my life. My mother-in-law found my OnlyFans account.
Right.
It's like just constantly these stories keep coming out. It's like it's not worth the money. Most women don't make any money. Most women don't make actually any money.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like a top 1, 2, 3%, and you just have to be a marketing guru in order to accomplish anything.
The last article in this, or the last paragraph in this article says, and it's a quote from her. And she says, I do not regret joining OnlyFans. I know that it can be taboo, or some people may believe that it is shameful, but I don't think sex work has to be shameful. I do wish things just happened in a different way. Okay.
She's going to think differently in 20 years.
Now, first of all, I'm actually kind of interested. Yes, she will. I'm actually kind of curious as to why there was no mention of whether or not the teachers' union is going to go to bat for her.
That's a good question. I think on some level, because of the increase in the number of these cases, they may be trying to still kind of develop what their normal tactic will be with these. It's like, do we protect these particular teachers, or do we simply say no? That's against our rules too. So you got to get out.
I mean, they go to bat for teachers who are reading and pushing grooming materials on young kids. They go to bat for events that bring drag queens into the school district. Why wouldn't they go to bat for the porn star who wants to teach 14, 15, 16-year-old boys?
You know what? You're not wrong, Mike, because the ideology is the same that says that sex work is real work, right?
Right. And listen, I mean, if you're an adult, I'm enough of a libertarian to say, listen, if there are other adults willing to pay you to do that, and they can have their pathetic lives, and you can make a profit off their pathetic lives.
You want to sell your soul to do it? Go ahead.
You want to sell your soul to do it? You are free to do it. You're not getting any money from me, but you are free to do it. There was a case years ago, like 15 years ago here in the St. Louis area, 15 or 20 years ago maybe, where there was a teacher who had done that industry, those videos in the past.
Right.
changed her name, went to school, tried to, have basically a start over in her life. And some students figured out, wait a minute.
I've seen her before.
I've seen that probably in their dad's VHS collection or something.
Right.
And they put two and two together and said, wait a minute, I know that's your name now, but aren't you this? And I don't remember which school district it was. I remember it was in the region here a long time ago. And there was a big to-do. People were like defending her, saying that was a previous life. Should be allowed to start over. She has a right. No. If you are somebody who's going to have that kind of influence and that kind of impact and you can't teach, I mean, what kind of high school kid's going to go in and say, somehow forget that the person you're talking to has done that?
Yeah.
What do you think they're thinking?
Those images are not going to
They're not going away, and just the concept isn't going away.
There's a reason that bank thieves don't get to work as tellers. Even if you changed your life.
All right, Jane Duker going to be with us. Was there really a risk of an entire part of St. Louis City not having law enforcement patrolling?
Yes.
Not having police. Yeah, it happened.
That's crazy.
They got some bare minimum coverage, but it came at the expense of other parts of the city. Jane Duker is going to give us the update. Jane Duker is not getting credit enough for this, but she's the one who actually broke and leaked the story, I think, and media's kind of been forced to follow up on it. So we'll talk to Jane here in a couple minutes.
Another one bites the dust. We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hey, we're gonna get you too. Another one bites the dust.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
We've been talking about it for days, but the much advertised warm-up really kicks in today. Mostly sunny for your Friday. Temperatures soar more than 10 degrees above normal for this time of year, up to 88. A little humid, too. Tonight, clear, dry, down to 68. Saturday, a run for the record. I'm forecasting a high of 91. The record in St. Louis is 93. Not much change Sunday, up to 88. Autumn air potentially arriving late next week. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Sheen.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
Female millennial Trump supporter. I listen to it like every day. Like, seriously, you get it.
News Talk STL.
I want to share something special with you. I've told you how Wellington Environmental works to keep hospitals, schools, businesses safe for their patients, students, clients, employees. Wellington can do the same for you. Perfect example. A relative went to the basement, almost knocked over by the smell. A sewer line had broken. A call to Wellington, a crew was dispatched. First thing, make the home safe. Then clean up the mess. Truly clean it up. Now, I'm telling you this because I want the best for you. Wellington Environmental. Here's the number, 314-644-4930. 644-4930. AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. 644-4930. Wellington Environmental. Your world. Cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
We all know the healthcare system's broken. It's not about you. It's about the code, the bill, the 7-minute appointment. Hi, it's Dr. Randy Tobler, and I've developed a better way that restores old-fashioned values with a holistic approach to your healthcare. That means affordable, available, no copay or deductible primary care. And with my 30-plus years as an OBGYN, there's added value for women and couples. Whether it's a new or nagging problem, you need a second look at a troubling diagnosis, or simply want a trusting, relationship-based healthcare experience, give us a look at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Our mission is to provide exceptional, accessible, and truly affordable care where the focus is on you, not insurance denial and cookbook medicine experts. And with your membership, there's a number of perks, including hundreds of free meds, in-office ultrasound, common diagnostic tests, and more. Interested in seeing me or learning more about healthcare the way it ought to be? Schedule an appointment or a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the morning. The Vic Porcelli Show. Columbo and Katie. Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL.
Hello, morning people. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Columbo and Katie.
See you then. You know you're in a place of honor when you get to do the interview segment and Stryper is the bump music leading into that. So Jane needs to know this is a place of honor here. All right, how bad is the police staffing shortage in the city? It's even worse than we thought, and we knew it was already really bad. We'll get to that in just a second here. News Talk STL's weekend program, Randy Tobler, Saturday morning from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock live right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. News broke, some media picking it up a day or two after I think some of us saw it on social media, and we saw it on social media. I did because of Jane Duker's sources and what she was able to find out, and that is that at some point this week, basically every single police officer assigned to District 3 in St. Louis City called in sick, and you go, how could that be possible? Well, there were two of them. Jane joins us right now, and there's the issue as to, oh my goodness, how do you cover when they're sick? Because you know what, people get sick, and it is, respiratory illness season. That's nothing unusual. But then you were able to point out there were only 2 officers assigned to the entire freaking district. How in the world does that happen?
Well, it's even worse than that, because that was Wednesday. On Monday and Tuesday, those same 2 officers were the only officers assigned to an entire police district. Now, remind your listeners, there's only 6 police districts in the whole city of St. Louis. And it is an absolute minimum to have 9 officers in each district. Now, many would say that's very low because that's only 54 officers for the entire city of St. Louis. But that's the minimum set by the department. Okay, it's not an appropriate minimum, but it's their own minimum. Okay, but Monday and Tuesday, the same 2 officers were the only officers in District 3 for those 2 days. So, to think that they may be exhausted and or sick by Wednesday, having covered an entire police district 2 nights in a row for 8 hours alone. Of course, that could happen. So then it set off, a whole, set of circumstances, and it sent all of policing in the city into a tailspin. So 2 people called in sick, and then set all policing into a tailspin. So they called in sick. They tried to get people to do overtime because what you have to remember is a lot of the cars on a regular basis are covered by overtime officers who are getting exhausted and tired. And so then you had a spat of violence. They had a shooting that was an unbelievably complex crime scene where you had, a murder and another shooting, an injury, and you had multiple possible defendants running in all different directions. So basically, the city said, okay, we're going to have District 4, who only had 6 officers, cover 3 and 4. So 1/3 of the city was covered by 6 officers.
Oh my gosh! Good morning, Jane. Gabe here. So does this go back to the chief, or who caused this situation? Where does the buck stop on creating this craziness?
Absolutely, the mayor's office, and the chief is being obviously is run by the mayor's office. These are policy decisions. We've had 100 officers leave just this year. We've had nearly 500 officers leave since 2021. So they're not replacing these officers. And so you have 2 problems. You have overall staffing. We don't have enough police officers. And 2, you have an allocation problem. Are you putting enough officers on the street? And they're not. And remember, District 4 is downtown. So, we had downtown and near downtown covered by 6 officers. So when you have a complex shooting, that took up both of those districts. Those 6 officers were completely taken over by this first shooting. Well, there were like 4 shootings that night. So, when you do that, every other district has to come in and help. So every district was negatively impacted Wednesday night because 2 people called in sick. It's shocking. And, the city came out with an offensive statement saying, staffing is a problem everywhere in government, and acting like, policing is different than, regular bureaucrats in city government. That was one line of offensive. Another line was, but homicide numbers are down. And it's like, wait a minute. The issue here is there should never be 2 officers alone in a district, ever. Ever. It's dangerous. I was getting text messages from cops on the street. They had to do a officer in need of aid because these officers were running all around looking for suspects. They had no backup. And, officers were put in danger. And the city doesn't even mention that officers and citizens are put in danger by crisis understaffing. I was getting text messages saying we're terrified.
Hey,
it was a horrible night.
Good morning, Jane Stalponticus here. As someone who lived in that district for 53 years, the 3rd District, and for listeners to understand where it is, it's the Mississippi River on the east, Choteau on the north, Grand on the west, and Merrimack on the south. That's a pretty big district.
It's a huge area.
Yeah, it really is a large area, only to be covered by 2 officers. And are you referring to the fatal shooting that was at Grand and Gravois, or was that another one besides?
Oh, no, that was another one. That was
okay.
There was one earlier that, and then you had a shot-up car, but they didn't know if there was a person in it or if the person in it, got hurt and was picked up somewhere else. And the same night that this all was coming out, Fox 2 ran a story. They had done sunshine law requests and found out, and the police chief or the fire chief is very clear about this, there were 200 times in 1 month in which there were no ambulances available in the city of St. Louis.
Yeah, see, I was about to ask you about that as well. That one I think snuck up on people. So I mean, and that could have been an hour or 2 at a time, or whatever the case is. We already have the response time issue on this, but there were times when zero ambulances could have been called out if you had a heart attack or a car wreck or anything like that.
Correct. And, part of the problem is 13 ambulances are sitting in a city garage waiting for parts.
I hadn't heard that. So we're having not only staffing shortages and problems, but we're also having equipment difficulties right now, huh?
Absolutely. Oh, do you know how many police cars are sitting? They call them skeletons because they take all these police cars and they steal parts from them in order to keep, that's part of local control. Oh, we're going to have all these savings because city proper is going to take care of all the maintenance. So they have a new policy. They have a policy that says we will not order parts, anything from like an oil filter to whatever. We will not order them until we actually have a vehicle in there that requires a part, which means it takes days to get parts because they won't keep them on, as a cost-saving measure, they won't keep parts actually in the city garage. I mean, they maintain a lot of vehicles. Keep the parts, I mean, it's just this basic kind of horrible management that causes these ripple effects. And so it just shows you that staffing is hanging on by a thread. This happens all the time, by the way. The city just happened to get busted. And they came out and said, "Oh, we're winning crime." That was their statement.
My gosh.
It was completely offensive to the police officers who are terrified and trying to hang on. And, they don't even come out and say, we don't like this and, we're worried about our officers. No, they don't care. And the message is getting clearer by the day. And so we wonder why we've lost almost 500 officers since, in 2 years.
Well, you got the message to the police officers, Jane, but you've also got the message to the bad guys out there as well.
They know.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Oh, you're horrible because you tell everybody that they're understaffed." I'm like, the criminals know before anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
They're winning.
And
that's, so yeah. And by the way, it was the police officers who wanted me to expose all this because they feel like that nobody's listening.
Hey, Jane, I was asking you about this the other day. Explain this to them, and I've just got a couple minutes left here. A case before the Missouri Supreme Court. The city of St. Louis is trying to overturn that law that included what a lot of people called the police officer's Bill of Rights. What is it that's at stake right now, and what is it that the city's trying to get overturned?
Well, it's basically a law that provides that police officers get the same sort of due process that regular city employees get. We're not talking about, that they're getting all this special treatment. They get due process in employment situations because the city doesn't like to provide it. And they're not complying with the law, even though it's a valid law on the books. So they've been suing about it. They want to sue because they don't want to indemnify officers. When officers get sued or, get wrongfully charged when Kim Gardner was around, they don't get defended. They don't want to defend them in court. They defend every officer, every employee in city government, but they don't want to do it for police officers. And so they say it violates Hancock. It's an unfunded mandate, which, by the way, they've been doing it. They've been defending officers during all of local control. So that was part of the deal, is they had to take that on in order to get local control, and now they don't want to do it. So they want local control with no local responsibility.
Yeah,
so I hope the Supreme Court does the right thing.
Yeah, it'll be months before we get any kind of a decision on that. By the way, I'm sorry to do this, Jane. There's breaking news that's happening right now. California U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein has passed away at the age of 90.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you for letting me know. I did not hear that.
Yeah,
Yep.
that just
Just
now
popped up.
just now breaking and coming over the wires, but wanted to mention that. Okay, so regarding the police officers' Bill of Rights, I mean, I saw that story on one of the more politically focused news outlets out there, and that's why I asked you about it, because that's something that it's interesting that the city itself is suing and basically arguing, like I said, but if we're forced to pay for legal defense or whatever the case is of a police officer, they're saying that's going to be an additional cost. But I'm hearing you say, but if other employees,
they were already doing it.
Yeah, if other employees are in that same situation,
there's
then,
a city ordinance that requires it.
Oh well, then they're not going to overturn their own city ordinance then.
I mean, well, why wouldn't they then? I mean, see, but then their argument was, well, just because we do it doesn't mean we have to.
Oh no!
Wow.
Oh my gosh!
Other than the law says
no, I mean, so it's wrong on so many levels. I mean, and then they also do the standard. Oh, there's too many topics in the law. They do the constitutional challenges, and So I mean, they're going to do anything to not help police officers. I mean, now how many signs do the cops need that the city don't want to police or properly support their police department?
Yeah.
I mean, if there's not any more arguments for, citizen board control, the legislature's quite aware that they're ignoring a statute that they passed. So I hope the legislature stands up for our law enforcement. I hope they do too.
Mm-hmm. One of the reasons I don't go to night games anymore at Busch, I mean, I just don't do it. I go somewhere else because I see what's happening now and see what's going to be happening in the future. So I know I'm not the only one doing that. All right, Jane Duker, we've already tagged you on our social media. Thanks so much for giving us the update. This was actually more and worse than I thought it was going to be when you and I scheduled the interview here.
Yeah, it's happening all the time. They just got busted. So beware out there. Be careful.
All right, Jane, have a great weekend. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jane.
Bye-bye.
All right, once again, breaking news, Senator Dianne Feinstein, who has been struggling, obviously, cognitively and in the U.S. Senate
Just
for
in general,
quite a while.
yeah.
Yeah, 90 years old. She has passed away, and that's all the information that I have at this point, which means Gavin Newsom is going to appoint the next U.S. Senator from the state of California.
Right.
So that's a whole other thing. But Dianne Feinstein dead at 90.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
This is a scary time when it comes to your money, especially if buying a home. That's why you need Homestead Financial Mortgage. I know the owners, met the team. You can trust Homestead will be with you every step of the way. Call 24/7 with any question or concern. Homestead is on your schedule, not banker's hours. This is not just about buying a home. It's about trust. You can go to my website, Larry.homesteadfinancial.com. Larry.homesteadfinancial.com.
Hey guys, Ken Kruger. I've gotten to know these guys really well over the last few years. Yes, St. Louis Bath and Renovation. They're the most trusted name in bathroom remodelers in the St. Louis area. In fact, if you need bathroom repairs, complete bathroom remodeling, or handyman services, call St. Louis Bath and Renovation at 314-477-6476 or email Rob at stlbr.com. That's St. Louis Bath and Renovation.
Get charged up on the truth. Power Punch with Larry Behrens.
Gas prices are crashing higher once again, and the Biden administration is employing a new tactic to try to make us believe they're not responsible. We'll help you see through it. And when you go to rent that car, are you choosing all those fancy EVs? No, you're not, and you're not alone. We'll talk about it this week.
Power Punch with Larry Behrens. Saturday afternoons at 4 on News Talk STL.
Get more Power Punch at powertofuture.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Tune in to us at 8 p.m. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
All right, breaking news. We're just now getting word that U.S. Senator from California, Dianne Feinstein, has passed away at the age of 90.
Yeah.
She has not been effective at working in the Senate for quite some time. I'm not trying to be, I'm not being smart alecky, but we know that she's not cognitively been there for quite a while. But 90 years old, and she has died. I don't have any other details than that, but obviously there's been a lot of health issues. She was recently in the hospital a couple of times for some other things, and there'll be more information on that throughout the day. But that means Gavin Newsom is now going to select the next U.S. Senator in the state of California, and there is an open primary because she was not going to run for re-election, obviously.
So he's got a number of choices, and who he picks could have an impact on a lot of political support going forward, especially if he decides to run for president.
Yes, and so around 8:20, I'm going to work this into the news roundup, and because there's a couple ways that he could do this. So we'll talk about that then. But right now it's 7:53. It's on a Friday. Gabe, take it away.
This segment is brought to you by Paw Factory Pet Supplies. Enter code NOTTODAYSATAN, all lowercase, no spaces, for 15% off your treats, toys, and training equipment at pawfactory.co. That's pawfactory.co. Now, without further ado, it's the weird, the wacky, and the worrisome. These are the stories that make you sick.
Look all the devil.
Oh, hell no. This can't be happening, man. This ain't happening.
Devil.
It's the only way to be sure.
Not today, Satan. Not today. Amen.
Amen. Now, I think we've all made one digital faux pas or another. No, not as bad as that one teacher.
Yeah, I was
going to
say,
but I could definitely say I've never done anything like what this man did, accidentally sending an intimate photo of his wife to his entire contact list.
Well, isn't that special?
Yeah. Now, in a post to Reddit, a 27-year-old newlywed described sharing an online image folder full of photos from he and his wife's Hawaiian honeymoon. Well, amidst the images of hiking, luau's, and sunsets was one pic from a hot tub showing the naked back of his wife looking over her shoulder seductively at the camera.
Ooh.
Now, thankfully, none of her naughty bits were visible, and he did pull the picture from the folder once he realized it was there, but the cheeky image did cause a bit of a stir among family members. in fact, his sister-in-law thinks he did it on purpose, and she's mad about it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh. Now, the next reunion is going to be awkward.
Yes, it will.
So,
Thanksgiving's going to be awkward.
Yes, exactly. In our second story here, there's a man in Kent in the UK that won't go anywhere without his 2-year-old. And I'm sure this would be a sweet little story if it was not for the fact that we're talking about a pet turkey.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
What? His pet turkey. Dave Brooker goes everywhere with Trouble version 2, or T2 for short, who he says is like a child to him. The friendly bird follows the 56-year-old everywhere from the grocery store to the dentist. Brooker insists she is always very well behaved. Brooke says she's good company and entertaining. Sometimes I even think she's part human. Ever since adopting T2, Brooks has given up eating turkey.
Okay, a couple things. First of all,
Yeah.
A fully grown turkey
Mhm.
is a pretty big bird.
There's a big bird.
Yeah. Now, you may be thinking of like the feathers put out and everything. Those are the male turkeys.
Right.
The female turkeys are still pretty big birds. The other thing is they are filthy and gross and
Yes.
smelly.
They are disgusting animals. They are
Yes.
actually disgusting animals. So apparently there's been footage of him at like a local diner sitting there, and he gives a bag of chips. She has a particular chip bag of flavor chips she likes, just letting her sit there eating her chips while he has lunch.
Well, they do become part human once we eat them.
Or we become part turkey.
Well, it could be too.
I plan on doing that soon. Canadian Thanksgiving is this coming Sunday.
Oh, is it? Okay.
October, the first Monday in October, and we're gonna have a meal.
I actually had, what was the name of the turkey again?
Trouble version 2 or T2.
T2. Okay, I had T2's cousin for lunch yesterday.
T4.
On bread and a little mayonnaise.
Yeah, there. I love it. Now, our last story here. In the movies, the space explorers encounter some strange creature or pathogen that they unwittingly bring back onto the ship, and they cause all sorts of havoc. Well, in our last story here, life imitates art as one couple's date night to the theater ends with an infestation of bed bugs. So disgusting. Michael Staplowski and his wife attended a screening of Guardians of the Galaxy at Regal Cinemas Providence 14 Theater in Mount Juliet, Tennessee in May. And the following morning, Staplowski discovered 42 bedbug bites on his legs, while his wife had 18 on her back. Now, worse yet, some of the bites were so bad they became infected, necessitating a doctor's visit.
And they picked these up at the movie theater.
Well, after reaching out to the management at the theater, because they figured that must have been where they picked it up, they investigated the theater and found a bedbug egg sac under the seat where the man had been just a couple nights prior.
No.
So gross. Well, and the worst part about it, though, is that it didn't pay for the insurance didn't pay for it. So I've already started to sour on going out to the movies these days, but this kind of thing might just keep me home for good. Because when it comes to serving myself up as movie munchies for mites, you know what I'm saying.
Look on the devil.
Oh, hell no. This can't be happening, man. This ain't happening.
Devil.
There's only way to be sure.
Not today, Satan. Not today. Amen.
Just ahead, Newsmax TV host Carl Higbee is going to go over the headline news with us.
This is Diana with Newsletter's.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
This is Diana with Newsletter's Fine Jewelry. This year we're celebrating 50 years in business. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of your lives for over half a century. It's because of you that our small family business thrives in St. Louis. From our family to yours, thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
This is Mariah, third generation at Newsletter's Fine Jewelry. Buying an engagement ring can be intimidating. At Newsletters, we ensure complete understanding of your purchase. We offer a choice in both lab and mine-grown diamonds and are able to work with any budget. Let our family help educate you on your choice at Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at WowDiamonds.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. There is word just in from Capitol Hill of the passing of a veteran member of the U.S. Senate. Democrat Senator Dianne Feinstein of California has died. She served as California's senior senator since 1992, one of several trailblazing women elected to Congress in that year. Senator Dianne Feinstein, dead at the age of 90. The midnight Saturday deadline for a partial government shutdown fast approaching with no congressional agreement in sight.
The White House is telling its workers to prepare for a shutdown. According to communications obtained by the Associated Press, the House passed bills to fund the Departments of Defense, Homeland Security, and the State Department. But House Speaker Kevin McCarthy insists he won't take up Senate legislation designed to keep the federal government running, telling reporters Thursday he still has time to get it all done.
We will pass a continuing resolution, bring that rule up hopefully on Friday, that would keep government open.
McCarthy's acknowledged that divisions within the GOP conference are hampering the chamber's ability to do its job. His House allies hope the threat of a shutdown could help with the push to limit federal spending and combat illegal immigration. Jennifer King, Washington.
Did you watch GOP debate number 2? Millions did, but the Trumpless debate didn't break any records.
The second Republican presidential debate this week attracted fewer viewers than the first debate in August, with an estimated 9.5 million people tuning in. 12.8 million tuned into August's debate, which marked the first time that much of America heard from the other Republicans hoping to take on former President Donald Trump. Wednesday night was the second time in a row that frontrunner Trump skipped the event to have the spotlight follow him instead of his distant rivals. Trump's first presidential debate in August 2015 drew 24 million viewers. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
News and analysis, townhall.com.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
A toast to our new college grad who fills us with so much joy, almost as much as when we're in our RV. Oh, the world is your oyster, kiddo, and ours too. Now that we're covered with Progressive, Dad and I can hop in our RV anytime we want. Might even splurge on a retractable awning. Ooh, look out. Sorry, what was I talking about?
Protect your loved one with an RV policy from Progressive. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliate.
At least 50 people.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
We've been talking about it for days, but the much advertised warm-up really kicks in today. Mostly sunny for your Friday. Temperatures soar more than 10 degrees above normal for this time of year, up to 88. A little humid, too. Tonight, clear, dry, down to 68. Saturday, a run for the record. I'm forecasting a high of 91. The record in St. Louis is 93. Not much change Sunday, up to 88. Autumn air potentially arriving late next week. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Missouri Wild Alchemy is a local and family-owned business dedicated to providing consumers with high-quality cannabis and education. They strive to make customers feel comfortable and to help curtail the stigma of cannabis use by having a professional and well-educated staff. They're proud to carry products from several Missouri cultivators and manufacturers. Missouri Wild Alchemy, now serving recreational customers 21 and above, as well as patients. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram, or visit MissouriWild.com. That's MissouriWild.com.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Human trafficking is occurring right here in Missouri. You can help combat it by learning the signs of human trafficking and reporting suspicious activity to law enforcement. Victims may appear malnourished, show signs of mental or physical abuse, or avoid social interaction. If you're a victim or know someone who needs help, contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888 or text the word HELP to Be Free. Together, we can fight human trafficking in Missouri.
Brought to you by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
Mike Ferguson.
I'm the world's heavyweight wrestling champion.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I'm Batman.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, get up.
I want to be clear, I'm not going nuts. No.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, shutdowns, strikes, and inquiring about impeachment. So much to keep track of. Mainstream media doesn't seem to want to put it all in the headlines, so we'll keep you up to date as much as we can. It is 8:05 right now. Got Gabe here, got Stell here. We've got the best News Talk STL weekend programming, best in the region. Stand and Fight with Senator Nick Schroer every Sunday evening from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. The guy does not pull punches, and I absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just joining us here and you haven't heard a little bit of breaking news, U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein from California, obviously, she has passed away. She was 90 years old. That news breaking just literally within the last couple of minutes. And what a great time to talk to Carl. Carl Higbee, Newsmax TV host every weeknight. I think it's 5 o'clock our time that he's on here, Carl. So appreciate you being on the program. And I want to get to, the shutdown and the strike and the impeachment inquiry. Breaking news, Dianne Feinstein passes away. That means Governor Gavin Newsom picks the next U.S. Senator.
Right, and they obviously have their election process over there is what they we just had Senator James Langford on to talk about this. He called it a jungle primary where anybody from any party can run once they have the actual declared election for it. So it's going to be an interesting one. Look, California is pretty far left, but obviously I want to hearts and prayers out to the Feinstein family. However, we had our policy differences for sure. She was renowned for being an anti-gun part of the anti-gun party. So it's going to be interesting to see who fills that seat.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let me get to some of the other things. Like, for instance, I mean, this could affect the votes on a variety of things. We're hearing so much about the possible government shutdown, what's going to happen as we head into the new week. Respond to this comment that Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader in the House, had to say over the, I guess, stalemate over what's going to happen when it comes to government funding and operations.
Your objective, apparently, as extreme MAGA Republicans, is to shut the government down. That's their objective.
Those darn Republicans want to shut it down, Carl.
Nobody wants to shut down. Well, I kind of want to shut it down.
Yeah.
In government.
We might have to raise our hands on that one too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the problem. And realistically, look, like I was in the military as an E5 when there was a government shutdown once, and like it really hurt to not get paid. However, we're all going to have bigger problems if they don't fix the spending. This whole week on my show, we've been doing a financial series where we've been talking about the devastating effects of every time there's a crisis, the government gets more control, which causes the next crisis. And this is pretty much in tune with that. Somebody at some point just has to say, we got to stop spending money we don't have. And if we have to shut down the government, now the Democrats, you saw yesterday in the impeachment hearings, they had the iPads up with a Republican shutdown clock or whatever. Mm-hmm. Republicans are so bad. Look, I am a Republican. We are so bad at messaging against the Democrats. All the Democrats do is message. They are on point. They have the media on their side. They have Hollywood on their side. We have to get better at that stuff because our policies work, theirs don't. Their messaging works better than ours.
Absolutely. Morning, Carl. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So speaking of the government kind of stepping in where it really doesn't belong, we got the UAW strike coming on, and its relationship to politics seems to be a lot closer than these things used to be. We used to just get general commentary from politicians. Now we've got politicians showing up at rallies. What's up with this?
Well, here's the thing with this UAW strike, and we crunched the numbers on this one. What the UAW is asking for would culminate to $8.5 billion more just in payroll. Now, they're looking to get paid for a 40-hour week for only working 32 hours a week. They're looking to get pensions back instead of 401ks, which, by the way, every state government is trying to get away from pensions because they're so unaffordable and so unsustainable. They're bankrupting states like my home state of Connecticut. The bigger problem here, too, is this UAW union. I actually had a union boss from one of the local chapters on my show, and they have $830 million in their, quote, strike fund. And I asked the guy point blank, I said, so if you're so concerned about getting these people paid a fair wage and the right amount of money, why are you only paying them $500 a week to strike? Why don't you pay them the salary that you're asking the automakers to pay? And he said, well, we can't do that. It's not economical. I was like, exactly. Yeah. Ford posted a 90% loss 2 years ago or last year in their finances, mostly because they're being forced to eat $30,000 a piece on these stupid EVs, and they don't have the money.
We're visiting with Carl Higbee, host of Carl Higbee Frontline on Newsmax TV. It's 4 o'clock our time. I said 5. It's 5 Eastern, 4 o'clock Central. That he's on Monday through Friday. Let me follow up on that because Gabe kind of touched on it here just a little bit when you're talking about the UAW strike, and you've got Republicans and Democrats both pandering to a lot of the strikers, working the picket lines, doing the photo ops. Because right here in Missouri, we had Josh Hawley say, "I stand with these workers. These companies can afford it." I was very disappointed to see that. I've interviewed Josh Hawley over the years, but you mentioned they want up to a 40% raise for part-time hours. Why is there a rush from politicians of both parties to get out there and try to get in the pictures or try to get in the picket line?
I don't understand that. I mean, look, here's the difference, though. This is the difference between the Joe Biden address and the Donald Trump address. Joe Biden went there for like 11 and a half seconds and said, let's get it done. You got to pay these people a fair wage, and then vanished because he doesn't have a way. There's no mechanism in his Bidenomics economy to get the companies profitable enough to pay those wages. Donald Trump goes in and says, look, I'm going to deregulate this industry. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to unleash the economic genius of the American people. And then guess what? Ford will have the money to pay these workers. And I'm going to stop mandating these stupid EVs that are basically a profit suck that only take half as many people to build. So Trump came in with solutions on how he's going to do it. And Biden was like, no, I'm a Democrat. Just pay people more. I don't care. Shake the money tree.
Hey, good morning. Carlos Stalponticus here. Since you guys were discussing the UAW strike, could we combine that along with Bidenomics and inflation and the debt? And to me, as a little bit older fella here amongst all of you guys, it feels like we're stepping into the stagnation that we had and stagflation that we had in the 70s. Does it seem like that to you, where everything is going to really slow down here over the next couple of months?
I mean, it already is. Like, here's the bottom line, too. And we talked about this actually part of our financial series, which is the corporate real estate bubble, which is worse than the 2008 housing real estate bubble. So you have $1.5 trillion of loans on corporate real estate and commercial real estate. That is hotels and factories and office space and things like that. Now, COVID, everybody started working from home. And a lot of people won't go back to work. So these office spaces are going down. You're talking about 40% vacancies coming in the next 2 years here because people aren't going to renew their leases. And you also have, if you had a $1.5 million corporate property that you leased out to some storefronts or whatever, you're paying about $6,500 a month on that mortgage. Well, that was under your 2 to 3% mortgage rate under maybe 2-3 years ago. Now it's 7.5%. So if you refinance, which $1.5 trillion in the economy are about to do in the next year and a half, that $6,500 payment is now going to be over $11,000 for the exact same property just because of the interest rates. And that's the price of this government printing money.
Oh, unbelievable. Wow. We've got just a few minutes left here visiting with Carl Higbee from Newsmax TV. Impeachment, last but not least, impeachment inquiry hearings get started yesterday. What was your take and your reaction to that first hearing? Because we're hearing the same talking points. You mentioned the Democrats doing the messaging, no smoking gun, no evidence whatsoever, and Republicans are kind of going, hey, look, here, we've got everything from suspicious activity reports to tracking money in the funds and all of this, phone call records. And by the way, there was this laptop. So when you look at that first hearing, are they going to be able to get to the truth and cut through all of the politics and the media haze to get to that, whatever the truth is?
Well, I mean, look, here's the deal. Is the funny thing is this government the Democrats made such a big deal about during this impeachment inquiry about Joe Biden. They wanted to make this all about Donald Trump. And one of the things I saw, and I believe it was from Jamie Raskin, it might have been from someone else, where they said, Donald Trump had business in China. Donald Trump did all this. Donald Trump did other. Yes, Donald Trump did do business in China, but what was the product of his business? He has tangible assets. He has buildings. He has properties. He has economic prosperity that he created with tangible assets. If you're so concerned about that, why are you not concerned about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden creating the same amount of business, actually more business, and having no product behind it? That is what we call evidence. The laptop is what we call evidence. Testimony from whistleblowers is what we call evidence. Those are the things. If the Democrats, if they think there's nothing there, they should make that case. But don't make it about Donald Trump because they just backed themselves into a corner.
All right, Carl Higby from Newsmax TV. You're on 4 o'clock our time here in the Midwest. And what's coming up here later today? Because I know that you're kind of one of the newer additions to the weeknight lineup on Newsmax. So I'm glad to be able to introduce people to you.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, we are. We got a lot actually. This, like I said, we're wrapping up our finance segments this whole week. I've been posting them on social media, on my Instagram and Twitter, which is just at Carl Higby. Tonight we are talking about solutions for economic prosperity, things that have worked in the past, things that haven't worked in the past, and we're going to get to the bottom of why these people in Washington D.C. who sit around and lecture us like they're smarter than us can't get it right.
All right, sounds great.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's your real quick reaction? The U.S. Senate overwhelmingly passes a resolution and tells Chuck Schumer, no, everybody has to wear pants. They've reversed the Fetterman rule.
I thought the bar was low with Barack Obama and his policies. This is the new low. I'm sorry, you have to wear pants to be a United States senator? Cry me a river.
Yeah, jeez.
But they're so itchy.
All right, Carl Higby from Newsmax Television. Hey, thank you so much. Let's do this again, Carl.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thanks, Carl.
314-912-1019.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
It is. No, that sounds like a great show. And also, all of their shows and their segments are archived on Newsmax TV as well. So I think it's just newsmaxtv.com. You can check him out weekdays or check him out on social media as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, got the news update here, including the breaking news that U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein has passed away at the age of 90. Where do we go from here? Because now we have 99 U.S. senators. What's next?
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away. You wanna do that? Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin car. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up, get up. To give me more information, you want to take the place of what I trust. Turn on your colored box, you look for some answers, for false impressions. Well, baby, they will last forever. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now.
News, analysis, opinion.
I haven't heard any allegation of something that would rise to the level of a high crime or misdemeanor.
No nation can be truly secure in the world if, in fact, we don't stand up and defend the freedom of Ukraine.
This is News Talk STL.
We've told them from day one, we expect a bargain now, not wait till the end.
President Biden's son Hunter has been indicted.
Impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL and newstalkstl.com.
You know, when it comes to your home, one of the best things you can do is make sure that your HVAC system is not just up to date, but just make sure that it's prepared for this really cold winter season that's just around the corner. Going to be hot this weekend, but we are just weeks away from fireplaces. We are probably just a month or two away from a few snowflakes out there. That's how quickly things are going to change. Mike Ferguson here from my friends at Anton's. That's why you should get your furnace tune-up done. It's first of all, it's only $89, and the plumbing, heating, cooling, and energy experts at Anton's are going to be able to keep your furnace up and running and prepared for the winter. So get that tune-up. You know, every so often you've got to get your car oil change and get that basic maintenance, maybe get a tune-up on that. Why? Because you want it to keep running. You want it to keep performing. You want it to keep you and your family safe when you're in it. It's the same thing with your house. And if you call them right now, you're going to get on that calendar much, much quicker. And you can call them at 314-338 3941 to set up your appointment, or you can book it online. AntonsHVAC.com, AntonsHVAC.com. You can also keep your basement dry with a sump pump inspection. They do that too. That's only $49, but definitely get that furnace tune-up done to make sure that you don't risk having that below zero weather and then the furnace conks out because something that could have been prevented was not done. We're talking world-class service. They've got 1,700 reviews, Google and Yelp and the others, and they got a 4.9 on Google, A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. And while you're at it, you ought to do what I do. My wife and I are part of the Ultimate Saving Club member. We get 2 seasonal 36-point inspections and cleanings, priority scheduling, 15% off repairs, and 1 customer-initiated plumbing inspection as well. Anton's put in the central air system in the top of our home, that 3rd floor, and we are so happy with that system. It is whisper quiet, and we don't have any issues staying warm in the winter and cold in the summer. It was an excellent dollar-for-dollar deal. Their service has been phenomenal on this, and they did a great job for our home. They will do one for yours as well. But whether you're ready for that or not, just get that furnace tuned up. Be ready for when that cold weather comes, because when winter's right around the corner and we're getting into November, December, there's going to be a lot of people booking those furnace tune-ups. So make sure that you get it done now. It can save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars by finding problems that could lead to bigger breakdowns and just fix them now. But then again, they could come out and say, yep, let's change the filters, let's clean the ducts. You are good to go. Everything else looks good, and you've got that peace of mind. 314-338-3941. Anton's is who my wife and I trust our home to, and you should too. Give them a visit online, AntonsHVAC.com. You can book your appointment there, AntonsHVAC.com.
News Talk STL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com.
Wow, that was my reaction when I walked into Napoli C, now open on the streets of St. Charles, right next door to Napoli 3. And Napoli C is like walking into a 2-level submarine. Fish just outside the portholes. The menu is going to be filled with various seafood, lobster, crab. Good luck with choosing. Napoli C is now open on the streets of St. Charles. Join me at any Cafe Napoli. Clayton, Town & Country, Napoli 3 and St. Charles are right next door, Napoli C.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
And then the media.
101.9 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me for the Right Mind Show on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this wacky radio station. You know, and speaking of wacky, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, breaking news. U.S. Senator Dianne Feinstein has died. She was 90 years old, so we'll get into what's next for that here in just a moment. Also, the impeachment of Joe Biden is just one step closer to reality now that the impeachment inquiry has started. Yeah, a lot going on there. And let's see here. What else? Let's see here. Cardinals wrap up the season this weekend as well. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here. Let's start with that breaking news, guys. Dianne Feinstein has passed. We got the news of that about 20 minutes ago or so. So here's the way that it works. In California, the governor appoints a replacement.
Right.
Now appoints a temporary replacement until the next election.
Right.
Now, I don't know the specifics of California law regarding this, because the seat that Dianne Feinstein held up until her death a little bit ago was up for re-election in 2024. So they were already going to elect a new senator in 2024. My understanding is that Gavin Newsom can, and he probably will, call a special election. But in the meantime, he does have the authority to appoint to fill that vacancy until that next election. and then that person who wins that election would then only serve until the November election in 2024, and then they could either run for their seat or step out of the way.
Right.
So there are a lot of people who have already declared and filed to run for the U.S. Senate in California.
Yeah, it was open.
Yeah, it's an open primary, as Carl Higbee from Newsmax was just telling us. Now, this includes Adam Schiff, the congressman, Katie Porter, the congresswoman. So they're like trying to figure out who's going to be the most left-wing, and if that were not enough,
Yeah.
Barbara Lee has announced that she wants to run for that seat as well. And so the so-called jungle primary that Carl was talking about just a minute ago, that basically makes sure that no Republicans are going to get elected to that seat.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So he's got one of two ways he could do this. He can just pick one of those, bigger names, front runners, and basically just be the kingmaker and say, you're the next one.
Right, and then they are able to run basically as an incumbent
Correct.
when the next election comes around.
Exactly. Or, and this is what typically is expected, and this is sort of the unwritten expectation, although not always, is that you find some retired state official, some retired state auditor, some retired state treasurer, maybe even a retired, governor or something like that, and you ask them to fill the vacancy until the election can pick the next U.S. senator.
Right, so a seat warmer.
Correct. Which is normally what happens in these circumstances.
I think that would be the most, best in keeping with making sure that the will of the people gets to speak, as opposed to, appointing yourself the kingmaker.
Right. Because, yes, that person will be an incumbent and you could vote them out.
But still, the incumbency is
That's
really powerful.
Not how that happens. And in this case, what's unusual is you're talking about basically at the most a year, but a year is a long time.
You know what shocks me a bit about Diane is that she's another one of the San Francisco folks.
Yes, yes.
And with all the big cities you have in California, why is it that San Francisco seems to dominate everything politically? You would think L.A. would be somewhere in the mix. You rarely hear about anybody from L.A.
Well, it's every state has its concentration of powers. I mean, for instance, at the moment, in the state of Missouri, the power is generally concentrated in the southwest part of the state because that's where the elected officials are from. Right before that, it was here in St. Louis as well. So it happens, and San Francisco basically runs Sacramento in California.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and of course, because D.C. is Hollywood for ugly people, in Hollywood, there's like, well, we're pretty. So we're going to stay here.
Yeah, it's funny. I was looking at a list of the candidates who have declared. There's a website called politics1.com, and they're very good about keeping track of who's running and who's not and that sort of thing. Long list of people who have already declared, and then there were lists of people who are rumored or possible sort of thing. And one of those is a Republican. Stell, you would know this name, Steve Garvey.
Oh, my, yes.
The baseball player, retired baseball player.
Wow.
From the Padres.
Padres and Dodgers.
And Dodgers.
Yeah,
right.
as well. Now, he has not declared anything, and there's nothing on his social media that says he's interested. I haven't heard about him wanting to go into politics, but it's interesting that
Probably
people
local
are
rumors.
looking at him.
Yeah.
He's a pretty smart businessman. He's a pretty smart guy. I suspect he'd look at the entire process and go, there's no way I'm getting elected. I'm going to go ahead and make my money doing baseball stuff.
Look what they did to Larry Elder.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, precisely. So, yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of people, but basically the race is going to be between Adam Schiff, Katie Porter, and Barbara Lee, who are going to be those for early contenders, unless, another big name comes in there. I mean, honestly, it is actually legal for the governor to appoint himself.
Really? He can hold both?
It is legal. No. He'd have to leave the governor's office.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But it is legal for him to appoint himself, and
then open up the
Then
governorship.
the lieutenant governor would have to become governor and all that kind of stuff. So it's actually legal for that to happen. I don't think he's going to do that.
No,
because I think that he thinks he's on a track to be president.
I was going to say his eyes on the White House,
and he might be on a track to be president.
Yeah.
All right.
Before you go on to another story, by the way, I want to ask this really quick. What is going on in Arizona? Speaking of governors, is Katie Hobbs disappearing?
Okay,
yesterday?
so she did the temporary step down thing, but nobody really knows why. And that part is actually not unusual. It's the circumstances where they don't know why. Like, for instance, Governor Mike Parson is about to do a trade mission, trade trip to, I want to say it's Japan. So because he's going to be out of the state, he temporarily steps down as, he's still the governor, but then Mike Kehoe will be the acting governor. So in that state, it's really weird because the state treasurer becomes the acting governor, which is bizarre.
Which is another 3 steps down, I think, from her.
In
I think the
normal
well, that's just their state. That's just their state
Wow,
law.
that's weird.
Yeah, and then when she comes back, and then she assumes the duties again, but nobody knows why she's doing that. We don't. That's what's weird is we don't know. There are a variety of reasons. You're going to be out of state for an extended period of time. You're going to, and Ronald Reagan had to do this when you go under general anesthesia for any sort of medical procedure. You do that because you're incapacitated, but nobody really knows what's happening with Katie Hobbs. And there's people like, well, wait a minute. I mean, this is a routine thing, but it's not routine.
Maybe she got one of those letters in the mail saying that she's got a free week to stay. So she just has to go to like a little conference where they talk about timeshares. Yeah, it's like maybe that's it. And she's like, I'm gonna be out of the country. Maybe I need to do this because this timeshare thing might be the way to go.
I mean, she's going to get a free trip to Branson.
Exactly.
I mean, you just can't go wrong with that. So the definite answer is we don't know.
Okay.
I mean, but it's a weird situation. It's really weird.
Very odd.
On there. Okay. House Republicans leading the charge of the impeachment inquiry, which got underway. That, of course, going after President Biden and all of the accusations of corruption taking place as him as vice president, and then they're also arguing as president as well. Now, on Fox's Hannity last night, Congressman James Comer was on, and every time you hear the Democrats say, you don't have a shred of evidence, well, Congressman Comer disagrees.
They used these shell companies to receive the wires from the foreign nationals. And then, according to the banks, in the 170 different suspicious activity reports, those were the bank violations, they then took those wires through the shell companies and laundered them down to the Biden family, to 9 different Biden family members in incremental payments.
And, of course, the Democrats in the House and the Senate are arguing there is no smoking gun here, just accusations. And the White House is saying, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Mike, they don't have a shred of evidence. They have massive piles of evidence. So technically not just shreds.
It's true.
That's right.
True,
yeah. I mean,
so the hearing, it's absolutely crucial that the Republicans do this right.
Yes, and I think they need to keep going. As much interference as they currently been getting in preventing the information from getting out, they need to just keep going and get better messaging while they're at it. But there's more information. I think the piles can get bigger. They just need to keep going.
Exactly. All right, couple of quick notes here. Battlehawks could have more teams to compete against next season.
Oh.
Yeah, the XFL and the USFL announced that they are merging next year.
No way.
Yeah, they are merging.
Okay.
XFL has already announced that we are keeping our team here in St. Louis. So here's what we don't know is, will the XFL rules, which are unique to say in the least, whether that's going to be what is going to be used, or the USFL rules, which are more like traditional NFL type of football. And the USFL, which, by the way, nobody showed up to those games.
No.
Nobody.
No.
One of the reasons was they picked these hubs around the country, and like, this is the hub where these teams played. So you had a team from a particular city, but they actually played in this hub. And we don't know if they're going to try to go to that model, but we do know that no matter what they do, there is going to be professional football in St. Louis in 2024.
I could almost guarantee you they're going to keep those XFL rules because they were popular. They were, I mean, and it made the game really interesting and exciting. People were, there was a level of excitement to watching these new sorts of plays, these new sorts of strategies develop that I think they're not going to want to give up.
And also the USFL has the backing of Fox. They have a national audience built in. And, of course, the XFL, as the season went along, one of the other differences is that people showed up to the games and they watched the games in person and did very well in the local markets on media, whereas the USFL said, we got to deal with Fox and we're just going to be on TV and that's going to take off, and it really didn't. But there's some pretty good ball there. There's a lot of guys there who have been signed at the higher levels, just like with the XFL. So this is going to be fascinating to see what happens.
Now, was this a merger, or did XFL acquire USFL?
It is a merger because they actually have to go through like the approval process at the regulatory level to merge, because you've got TV rights and radio
yeah,
rights and
right,
all that
right,
kind of
okay.
stuff involved. So,
Right.
I mean, my guess is the effective part of this is that Dwayne Johnson's buying it.
Yes,
But
that's kind of what I was
That's
thinking,
what it is,
yeah.
but it's being treated as a
true merger,
of
right.
two businesses.
Okay.
All right. The Cardinals lost their final road game of the season, which means they lost the last road series of the season as well. Final score in Milwaukee was 3-0. Final series of the season starts tonight at Busch Stadium. Reds are in town for a 3-game set. First pitch is tonight at 7:15. It is also National Coffee Day, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Krispy Kreme, Dunkin' Flying J, a whole bunch of others. They have different deals. Buy one, buy something, get a free cup, or just get a free cup. There are probably others too, so let me know. Fun fact real quick here. 63% of Americans drink coffee every day. I don't know what's wrong with the other 30%.
Natural caffeine.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
We've been talking about it for days, but the much-advertised warm-up really kicks in today. Mostly sunny for your Friday. Temperatures soar more than 10 degrees above normal for this time of year, up to 88. A little humid, too. Tonight, clear, dry, down to 68. Saturday, a run for the record. I'm forecasting a high of 91. The record in St. Louis is 93. Not much change Sunday, up to 88. Autumn air potentially arriving late next week. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Cheney.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
Get involved and make a difference. Be part of this year's St. Louis County Lincoln Reagan Day dinner featuring former Trump Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley. Plus, special MC for the night, News Talk STL's own Chris Arps. Have dinner, support the St. Louis County RNC, and hear Hogan Gidley Saturday night, September 30th in the River City Casino Ballroom. For more information, visit stlcorepublicans.org. That's stlcorepublicans.org.
Paid for by the Republican Central Committee of St. Louis County. Kevin Turner, Treasurer. Not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel, and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Columbo and Katie.
Judge presiding over Special Counsel Jack Smith's case against former President Donald Trump alleging interference in the 2020 presidential election set a trial date for March 4th, 2024, which is right before Super Tuesday. Here's the BS. It shows how fast the justice system in this country can move when it wants to. Yep.
Tony Columbo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL. Free speech is alive and well in America.
Sometimes it's hard to know what's real and what isn't.
Right here.
The country is heading in the wrong direction under this president.
We're suffering shortages. America's running out of everything.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
We've talked a lot about which institutions in our country have been captured by the left.
Yes.
And we can talk about the deleterious effects on our culture and our society and our government that happens. I mean, for instance, we talk about K through 12 education has been captured by the left.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, we've known that for a long time, but for some reason, for years, if not decades, conservatives basically said, "Oh yeah, the school
whatever."
they became liberal, and I guess that's their thing." And we see the effects of that. And so now that we're trying to win those back because of all the damage that the hard left is doing in the public school system. And then we've also talked about the academy, which has been captured by the left for, gosh, you could probably say 50, 60 years, really definitely going back to the 60s or before.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yep.
That's had a massive effect on culture in the country as well. There's a battle over the left capturing the corporate space as well.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the judiciary? Now, we're not talking about just liberal judges.
Yeah.
Here and there.
It's bigger than that.
Yeah. In Michigan, the Michigan Supreme Court issued rules to all the judges in the state. And they issued rules that basically say you must honor, you must accept, you must operate under the assumptions of the gender ideology extremists. So the statewide rule, and this affects every judge in the state now, the rule says that the gender identity of the member of the public is part of their individual identity, regardless of whether others agree or approved, meaning that all judges must now accept whatever pronouns or names or identities somebody in their courtroom claims as well. Now, first of all, this could have an effect on cases.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. The Supreme Court said courts must use the individual's name, the designated salutation, or personal pronouns or other respectful means that is not inconsistent with the individual's designated salutation or personal pronouns, meaning they will tell you which reality you must accept for the purposes of being a judge.
As part of I believe it's part of the dissent, if not a comment by one of the dissenting justices in this case, is it hits exactly at what the problem is with this ruling. He said, "This is a fluid political debate into which our judicial branch of state government should not wade, let alone dive headfirst and claim to have resolved. Such hubris has no place within the operation of a judicial branch of state government." And he's exactly right.
So let's talk about how this is different than, say, if you go into a workplace and somebody says, "We're not messing with this gender stuff," or, "You know what? We're just going to say whatever you declare your pronouns, we're going to accept that." So if you work in an office building, that is your office building. You can like it, not like it, but there it is in the private sector. How is this different, Gabe, when you're talking about an entire judicial system, and in this case, in a very important state in our nation?
Well, the thing is, I'm as libertarian as I am, on certain cases or in certain instances, one of the biggest ones is in the operations of private businesses. It's your money, it's your time, your labor, your effort that goes into creating that business, so you get to govern it essentially as you see fit, minus all of the craziness that we have rules against. So in that regard, just what, fine. If you're Starbucks and you want to say everybody gets their preferred pronouns on their name tags or whatever, then that's fine. If you are Hobby Lobby and you say, "Yeah, we don't do that here," that's fine as well. But what we're talking about is a branch of government. We're talking about the people to whom that we, and especially in the judicial, if there is one branch of government where this thing is the most damaging, I think it would be the judicial branch, because they operate on the truth. The truth is they're supposed to. I mean, that's basically the essential category in which they're supposed to work. They say, well, this is what the law says. This is what you did. The truth is you did something against the law. Therefore, I meet up with the punishment. They have to operate in a realm that recognizes truth. And any area, any manner in which they are forcing themselves to acknowledge untruth as true is a major chip in the armor of the judicial system as a whole.
Yeah, I don't like to do hypotheticals, but this would be a common example. But it's hypothetical.
Sure.
A a man decides he wants to dress and live as a woman, and Sam now wants to be Susie, and he wants to wear a dress, and he is at a faith-based organization. He's at a Catholic school. He's at a Christian ministry outreach, whatever the case is.
Sure.
And they say, yeah, that doesn't work. You got to go. Well, he sues for wrongful termination, for discriminatory, and this goes into the court system as a civil case.
Right.
Well, if the judge is required to say, okay, Susie, ma'am, her, whatever the case is, you are assuming that as reality, even though everybody in the room knows that that is not true.
And it speaks directly to the merits of the case, right? If the merit of the case is, hey, this person is saying an untrue thing about their identity that we do not recognize, you as the court open your doors and you say, no, we've already recognized that person's version of their identity is a true thing. Well, obviously, that's going to go to your ruling.
Right. And then that's before you get into situations of divorce and child custody and not just employment issues. And so in this case, what you've got here is you've got an entire branch of government in Michigan has bought in to the gender ideology. They have bought in to a fad, and that is part of the capture because even as society, even as our culture is moving away from this.
Yeah, we're struggling to move away, honestly.
But the movement is against it. The backlash has started. You know, you had the ebb, now we've got the flow away from it. It has started, but you lock it in with something like this.
Yes, absolutely. Because once and the left has learned this very intently that capturing aspects of the judiciary is a major win for them in terms of the cultural battle. Because once the rules start kicking in, once the judgments start rolling, once it becomes the norm that this thing must be so, then the culture simply adapts because that's the only way to survive. If your rulership, for lack of a better term, the third of the government is ruling that way, you just have to adapt to that.
Right.
You know what? Today's National Coffee Day.
Is there not enough coffee for this?
I'm going to say that there are judicial folks in, Illinois, New York, California, Washington, and Oregon, and maybe a few more states that are looking at Michigan. Yeah. And they're thinking, ooh, I'll bet coffee to donuts that we could have this happen here.
Yes.
Let's see if we can twist the judicial system into our own little donut. And we'll incorporate what they're doing in Michigan. And then, Mike, like you said, it starts spreading.
Exactly.
It's like a cancer.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is. Because you look at Wisconsin right next door, Illinois right below it.
They'll take that too, yeah.
Just south of it in Illinois. And you can imagine other states are just waiting to see the precedent that's been set. I don't know how you could challenge an administrative rule by the state Supreme Court because they're the ones who make the rule and they're constitutionally and legally allowed to make some of these rules. So you could look at all these other deep blue states and they are likely to go, good idea. Let's do that.
I'll toss Minnesota in there too.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, they're probably at that point as well.
And this isn't just a matter of politeness or what goes onto the forms as to the sex that's checked on the box. There are laws that are gendered. There are laws specifically, especially to protect women.
Yes.
That's one of the things that Western society did a long time ago, is we said, you know what, we're going to recognize the differences between the genders, and we're going to make sure that there are special protections for women because that's the way society needs to be structured to make it safe for everybody, right? And so you're going to have men claiming female protections, as we see right now, they're claiming special access to female spaces. Yep. Whether we're talking about college college sports, not football teams, sports teams, but and locker rooms and all that to scholarships. I bet is another thing.
Yeah. All right, 314-912-1019. You can go to the baseball game and stay for the concert this weekend in St. Louis if you want. Tell you all about that. We're going to hear from the star performer just ahead right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 1019 94.1 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Picture this, a room filled with fellow Republicans, all with one question. What could the future of St. Louis City look like under the leadership of Bill Eigel as governor?
Hi, this is Mary Teresa McClain with the Republican Party, City of St. Louis. It's more than a meeting. It's an invitation to hear Senator Bill Eigel talk about the future of our city.
Join us on Thursday, October 5th. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. Visit stlouisrepublicans.com for more details.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Everybody wants the economy to grow, right? But how do you feel about officials in effect giving your tax money to developers for their private projects? In the past 15 years, the city of St. Louis alone has diverted $709 million to developers in tax subsidies or abatements. That was money that would have gone to basic services like schools and public safety. Even worse, numerous studies around the country show these kinds of subsidies don't produce the promised jobs and growth. There's nothing wrong with developers wanting to build new shopping centers or company headquarters, but why should they get tax subsidies to do so? If it's a good business idea, great, but let them assume the risks as well as any possible rewards. It's time to reform economic development subsidies in Missouri. Check out our 2023 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary, but that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
It's Friday. At 4:05, we'll speak with Rick and Jake from Johnny's Hideout. And at 5:25, Dr. Aaron Hudlin on the potential government shutdown.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Dan Bongino here. Keep it on News Talk STL because my show starts at 11 a.m. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
It's Friday.
Saw a clip of Loverboy doing a concert, one of those like 80s reminiscent shows that they did a couple of weeks ago. Mike Reno still fronting Loverboy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He looks a little different than he did back in the 80s.
Well, it's been 40 years.
40 years of not doing sit-ups.
Oh, boy.
Yikes.
And the thing is that, listen, we all get bigger. Listen, I'm heavier than I wanted to be at this age. But I'm looking at that and I'm like, listen, don't dress like a rock star if you are 60 pounds overweight.
Yeah, if you don't look like a rock star anymore, you can't dress like a rock star.
Listen, I'm not saying you can't look good. I'm not saying you can't be fashionable, but
Sure.
I'm like, don't relive the 80s fashion when you didn't keep up with yourself.
80s fashion was very dependent on body shape.
Yes.
It was.
Yes.
Especially
He still
the
sounded good, though.
leather pants.
Good. 'Cause he's a great singer.
Yeah, real good singer.
How do you even get on leather pants?
I
Sorry.
don't know. No. Yeah, the answer for me is no.
I've never
on that.
tried, so I don't know.
You know, the only thing leather I'm going to wear are going to be shoes, a jacket, glove,
There you go.
maybe even a hat
Maybe
at
a
some
hat,
point.
Maybe.
Parachute pants are a little easier.
Oh, yeah, parachute pants are easier
I
to get
remember
into.
parachute pants.
The 90s, man.
It's kind of funny because every once in a while I'll get one of those videos in my Facebook Reels thing, and it's like, this is what it was like in the 80s, and it's all these home movies of high school kids with hair that's, the hairspray, Aquanet, Juvie, and the fashion, and I will send it to, just forward it to my daughter.
Oh, yes.
And I'm like, you missed out. Your generation is lame. Man.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys suck.
Speaking of fashion, the U.S. Senate, the U.S. senators said, no, we're not doing this Fetterman rule thing. And they actually passed a resolution which essentially vetoes Chuck Schumer's decision to rescind the dress code in the U.S. Senate. So all of the other senators unanimously
They said, this is stupid.
Yeah, so the dress code is back into effect in the U.S. Senate. So John Fetterman will not be wearing shorts and a hoodie to do business or preside over the Senate. And it was Joe Manchin and Mitt Romney that co-wrote that resolution. So Chuck Schumer can't do anything about it. He had to reimpose the dress code.
That's so silly that they had to do that. It's ridiculous. It's like wear pants. Why is it so difficult to wear pants?
I mean, I was not happy when I was told I have to wear pants for this job. And I'm like, listen, it's the radio.
Come on.
And I'm sitting behind a console. They can't even see me on camera, and everybody's like, no, wear your pants. Mike. I'm like, fine, whatever.
Because there are TV anchors who wear shorts,
Oh,
and they've got a suit. A sport coat on.
I've seen that in person.
Yeah.
My early TV jobs, I was working on the production crew. I have seen the guy in like the Bermuda swim trunks and the jacket and the suit. But I'm not going to name names. But if you listen to the Mizzou Tigers football broadcast, one of those voices is one of those guys that I saw way back in the day, like 30 years ago.
He's probably got a Hawaiian pattern going on.
Right. And so he's not an anchor anymore, but I have actually seen that in person. I remember being in the studio going, I didn't think that actually happened. I thought that was just a joke on Saturday Night Live or something.
This is real.
All right, Saturday's game. This is the last last 3 games for the St. Louis Cardinals' abysmal season. And of course, they're making it all about Adam Wainwright, which is great. Fantastic.
You need something to celebrate about it, by the way.
We know what Adam Wainwright's going to kind of do in retirement. He's going to do a little bit of broadcasting, but he's a budding country music singer and songwriter as well. And so Saturday, I think, is it after the game still?
Yes,
I think
after.
It's after the game on Saturday, if you hang around, Adam Wainwright and I think like a band are going to do a concert there at Busch Stadium. And so Channel 2 was asking him about that. They talked to him in the locker room yesterday. And so I grabbed this from Channel 2. And here's what he had to say as far as like the preview of doing a show there at Busch Stadium after the game.
I'm going to be nervous for sure. I'm going to have some fun out there. These are original songs that me and my friends have written, and we're excited to play them here in front of everybody. And one specific song is specifically for Cardinal Nation that I wrote. So I'm looking forward to playing that and pouring the heart out a little bit.
So 18 years with the St. Louis Cardinals, and it's funny when it first kind of went, like, I hate the term, but viral on social media that he was doing some country music stuff. I would play just a couple of songs for my daughter who does like country music, and I'd say, hey, what do you think? She goes, hey, he's not bad. He's okay.
All right,
She wasn't like wild. She's like,
Sure.
She goes, yeah, I'd like to hear more. Is that, that's not bad. And I'm like, that's Adam Wainwright.
That's really cool.
So fans who go Friday night get to sign a big thank you card, and then you've got the concert Saturday and a pregame ceremony Sunday.
Yeah, I think I might be at the game on Sunday. I think.
Good.
That's a 2:15 game. So get out there and send Adam Wainwright off the right way. He's earned it.
Thank you, Wayno.
Hey, Tim Jones here with Tony Colombo for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner at the Wallner Home Selling Team. If you're thinking about taking advantage of the market and selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now. Put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. Rodney and Jen have the experience and work ethic that sets them apart from all the rest. That's why they sell 15 times more homes per year than your typical realtor and have so many qualified buyers right now, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. The results, Tony, speak for themselves.
That's right, Tim. In fact, I recently benefited from those results personally. My wife and I couldn't be happier with the job the Wallners did for us, selling our old home in less than 2 days for significantly more than we were asking for.